Gentlemen in their t-shirts this morning, thank you very much for making day 2. Today, we'll be talking a lot around the students and our careers. And as I'm speaking, I have the MD of Zenith Bank walking. Good morning, MD. So today, we'll be focused on our journey in the career of each individual in the room. But before I go into today's conversation, I think it's very important that we have a recap of the conversations yesterday. Yesterday was really an insightful time for us because we began really looking at the macroeconomics of the African continent and the opportunities that exist in it. We also went through thinking through where do we think we can get the capital that Africa is looking for. In those discussions as well, in the second panel, we talked about investment opportunities and where we search for alpha across the continent. And what made that session interesting for me was because of the diverse and conversation around the experienced hands. And you could tell from the panel that they were very informed because you had venture capitalists in that slot telling you where they could get alpha from. You had PE firms telling you, and also the commercial banks. So it wasn't just stock in and pension fund. So it shows you the diverse conversation. We also had a DFI in the room, which handles every aspect of where finance is and where the opportunities lie. So it gave us a very robust conversation. But in this process, we realized that if you don't have the skills and the knowledge, then all what we are talking about is lost. So the importance of our professional engagement, our conversation about training and capacity building came on with a panel, the third panel, where the CEO of CFA Institute took with ACCA. And it just shows you the depth of knowledge that is required if we really want to transform our continent, Africa. But the intention around ESG, which is no longer a buzzword, has become a call to action across the world, and in particular Africa, was something that was eminent in the fourth panel, when they went into conversation talking around what is ESG, what is the opportunities, what are the ways we can measure ESG within our continent, and what is global standard, and how are these organizations actually making a conscious effort to invest or activate or support or lend to customers that are in that ESG space. Climate finance was one of the issues that they spoke about, focusing on our climate change and how Africa is a recipient of that and should be compensated with regards to that. And the last panel, which I kind of really got excited about, was the fintech conversation. And the reason is because you could see the Gen Z move in that space with the panelists. They talked about how in very young ages, they made decisions, like Olumide said, about the investments he made in some of the startups, either Paystack, and I heard it was also the same person that did PiggyVest at the age of 20-something. So it just shows you the opportunity, the range of opportunity that finance can give you as long as you connect to the right education, the right experience, and listen to the right guidance across the industry. Today, really targeted towards career, I'm really excited to welcome you to today's session. And I felt that today's session really cannot be complete until we have one of the biggest supporters of CFA Society Nigeria to come and talk to, not only in his professional capacity, but in his personal capacity, our biggest sponsor, the MD of Zenith Bank, Mr. Ebenezer in the room, to come and talk to you about his own career journey. And so today we'll be listening to him, but before I hand over to him, I'd like to hand over to the CEO, President and CEO of CFA Institute, just to give us a background of welcome to today's session, and please make the best use of it. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Oh, you can do better than that, and let me tell you why. Yesterday, when I stepped up here on the stage, all the corporates, all the senior people in the industry that were here, they gave a huge Nigerian shout out and welcome. So let's get some energy going. Good morning. This is my first time in Africa and my first time in Nigeria. I took over as CEO in September of 2019, and one of the first places I wanted to come was here, because I've never been here before. And 6 months after I started, COVID hit. And not only was I not able to come here, I was barely able to move around at all. It has taken incredible effort and planning from Ibukun, the Nigerian Society, and I must say, I hope to come back soon. I hope I will be invited back soon. Wherever I go in the world, there is much discussion about Africa. And it's about the potential of Africa, the youth you hear in the room. We heard a phrase yesterday that I thought was so amazing from our MC. The future is you. The present is you. You are here. We are all looking to you to lead a bright way forward. And that's a real shift in mindset. And there are a couple of reasons why that is. First of all, you are all digital native. You all have skills and capabilities that, frankly, many of us in this room just don't. That makes us good partners. You have so much to add to the system. You are global. Technology, social media, the access to information means, irrespective if you've never left your hometown, you actually understand the world in a way that we wouldn't have at this point in our careers. Here in Africa and here in Nigeria, there are many aspects, many levers that are happening that I would encourage you to consider as you think about your careers going forward. The first is Africa's prospects are extraordinary. Africa will be one of the most populous regions very shortly. It has one of the youngest demographics. And the key to it has rich resources. It has so many things going for it. The key to unlocking that potential is the education that you are receiving now, fostering and nurturing the ambition that you have in you. So Shope and Alua, thank you so very much for stepping up, doing your 1-minute pitch. I would hire both of you. You have ambition. You've paid attention to what you're studying. You've incorporated it and started to think about your careers and your ambition for yourselves, your ambition for this country, and your ambition for this continent. That has to start now. Now, I will share a few things about you with my career. I sit here wearing, I will tell you, you'll see these t-shirts around, so I'm going to take off my jacket so you can see it. We all have We're Team CFA. Shope, I know, did our research challenge. There are many things that we do for students. We invest heavily in students. And why is that? Because you are our future. The mission of the CFA Institute is to lead the investment industry with the highest standards of ethics, education, and professional excellence for the ultimate benefit of society. And that starts with our CFA program. A few things about my own career, because I stand up here, the team had made for me a baseball cap. It says, "The Boss," and Buchan said, we were going to put "Boss Lady," and I said, "No, you are the boss." And in a million years, for a girl who grew up in Toronto, Canada, who now works in New York and travels around the world, I never, ever imagined myself here in Lagos. And I sent my dad some pictures from the sessions that we've had. Ebenezer, you will know that our meeting with Zenit was incredible. The chief executive is a fantastic leader. The culture in the organization was apparent from your leadership and the team that you assembled. And so I sent my father, yes, please. I sent my father some pictures. And my father, I'm the oldest of 6 siblings, and I'm the first one on his side of the family to finish high school. And so you can imagine how proud he is of me. And what he said was, I never imagined a child of mine sitting in the places that you sit. I can hardly wait till you come home this weekend and tell your mother and I all about Nigeria and Africa. And there are so many takeaways. But how I got here is actually a very normal, ordinary story. And so let me share a few things with you. One, when I started out in business, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I did know I wanted to be successful and I wanted to make an impact. So I always subscribed to continuous learning. When I got into this business, I ended up here accidentally, and I didn't know the difference between a stock and a bond. And I will share with you that I essentially started as a secretary. I had a university education, but I didn't have a professional designation. And at my age, for women, there were no women in the business. Everybody around me who was great had a CFA charter. And so I signed up for the CFA charter. I failed my first exam. I had a 3-month-old baby, and I fell asleep in the exam. I had the best sleep ever and the most terrible outcome of the results. However, I picked myself up and wrote it again until I got all 3 levels. And that has made all the difference for my career. When I started in the business, I looked very young and I was a woman, and everybody across the table from me was a man and 25 to 30 years older, and I had no credibility. But when I put my card down and it had CFA behind my name, the conversation changed immediately. So that's the first thing. There are no shortcuts to being great. You have to be educated. You have to be qualified. You have to work hard. Second thing is you have to invest in you. So outside of your education and your qualifications, you have to step up and you have to say yes to things. And so I can stand here at the end of sort of 30 plus years of working in the business, and I can tell you a very coherent story about my career. But let me assure you, in the middle of it, it was not coherent at all. But I knew good people. I always said yes to opportunities. Even if I really felt I couldn't do it, I would work exceptionally hard, and I would take advantage of great leaders who gave me an opportunity. And I never forgot to thank them. And many of those leaders I still keep in touch with. They could be just have been my manager, a boss, somebody from a different division that gave me an opportunity. I was reminded when we were in Zenit Bank meeting with everybody, I had a moment flash back to when I was a very young professional and working at Barclays Global Investors, BGI. And Patty Dunn was the CEO, and she had started from the bottom and worked her way up to become the chief executive. And she was one of the only female chief executives. But she was inclusive, she was ambitious, she held a very high standard, and she identified talent. And I remember being in her presence and in that culture and feeling I wanted to be the best I could possibly be. And I had that same sentiment when I was at Zenit, that there's a culture of excellence, a culture of investment. And so you're being invested in now. Not only does Nigeria need you, Africa needs you, and frankly, the world needs you to be excellent and your very best. Innovative, creative, tenacious, determined, inclusive. All the things, whether it's climate, whether it's capital allocation, whether it's security analysis, whether it's dealing with clients. We need you. I will say that when I did start in the business, how I chose this one was because I thought it would be a lifetime that would be immensely interesting, that finance and investments have politics, economics, math, history, behavioral finance. I thought I'll never get bored, and I still am not bored. In fact, at this moment in time, with the headwinds that we are facing in the industry, societal challenges, climate challenges, creating sustainable returns for investments to start to build an education fund, secure their retirement, just basic banking. These things have to happen for proper economies, and that leads to societal well-being, whether we're building infrastructure, creating fair and transparent systems, education, and healthcare. All of these happen with capital allocated properly. Now, my children are Gen Z. They are 30 and 25. And I ask them all the time about what's going on, how they think about things. And when I think about the challenges we are facing as a world and in our industry and the opportunities that come with those challenges, I have incredible faith in this generation. You can make a difference. You must make a difference. So engage today, take advantage of all the little icebreakers that you're doing, the opportunities to practice your pitch, to make connections. And I would encourage you to listen deeply to our next speaker, who will give you great insights. Thank you so very, very much for making my first trip to Africa so wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mark Franklin. Please, a round of applause. That was such an excellent speech. Thank you so much. Thank you. And we certainly have loved having you here in Nigeria. And I mean, so many things to pick out from her speech. A number of things, I think even from the very first moment when she started to talk about the pride that her family, especially her parents, had in her, it struck a chord for many of us here in Nigeria because we can identify with it. Some of us have sent very similar pictures like that home to show our family members or send to our family WhatsApp group that look at me at the CFA Institute conference, Africa Investment Conference. I'm rolling with the big boys. How many of you, okay, I won't ask you to raise your hands, but some of you have, proudly done that. And I think it was so important to share that. And there's still so much more to go ahead. And then just a few highlights in terms of the fact that she talked about subscribing to continuous learning, investing in yourself, wanting more, never being satisfied with ordinary, being, dogged. And I think if there's anything you can talk about the Nigerian spirit, it is our doggedness. It is our tenacity. We never give up. We are always pushing. We're always doing even more. And so thank you so much for sharing your personal story. I thought that was so powerful. Can we give her another round of applause, please? Thank you. On that note, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. She already spoke about the fact that when she had a meeting with him and his team, she couldn't but note the culture of excellence. And when you read or hear his profile, you'll understand that just like Mark, a man who had, from simple background and just paved his way through hard work and this tenacity and doggedness and hard work, diligence that we've heard about today, it is the hallmark of his story. And so we're delighted to have him today, not just share from a formal perspective, but hopefully to also speak from his heart and share with you his career journey and hopefully an opportunity for you to pick up stories from his life and also ask questions. May I please encourage you this morning to not just listen to the things that he's saying, but also listen to what he's not quite saying, but what you can see in the journey of his life. I think that would be so powerful. By the way, if you'd like to see the agenda, it's still on your, the QR code on your tag. You can scan the agenda for today and quickly see what we'll be doing. Okay, so our next speaker needs no introduction. However, for the sake of formalities and just because we need to also properly welcome him to the conference, I would like to read his bio. He's the Group Managing Director, CEO of Zenith Bank PLC. He has over 29 years of experience in the banking industry in Nigeria, out of which 18 years is with Zenith Bank PLC, where he rose through the ranks and was appointed the Group Managing Director, CEO on June 1st, 2019. He's a graduate of accounting from Auchi Polytechnic, Nigeria. He qualified as a Chartered Accountant, ACA, of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, in 1989 and became a Fellow FCA of ICANN in 2003. He's also a Fellow of the Institute of Credit Administration, ICA, in Nigeria. He's an alumnus of the University of Oxford in England, where he obtained a postgraduate diploma in financial strategy and a certificate of macroeconomics. He also undertook extensive executive-level education in the Wharton Business School of the University of Pennsylvania, Columbia Business School of Columbia University, and the Harvard Business School of Harvard University in the United States. Talk about a commitment to continuous learning. He is the chairman of Zenith Pensions Custodian Limited and Zenith Nominees Limited. He's also on the board of Zenith Bank UK Limited, FMDQ Holdings PLC, Shared Agent Network Expansion Facilities, SANEF Limited, and Lagos State Security Trust Fund, LSSTF. He also served on the board of Zenith Bank Ghana Limited, Zenith General Insurance, Zenith Securities Limited, Zenith Assets Management Company, Zenith Medicare Limited, and Africa Finance Corporation, AFC. In 2019, he was named Bank CEO of the Year by Champion Newspapers and Bank CEO of the Year 2020 by Business Day Newspapers. Under his stewardship, the bank has won a number of awards, including Most Valuable Banking Brand in Nigeria 2020 by The Banker, Biggest Bank in Nigeria by Tier 1 Capital 2020 by The Banker, Best Bank in Nigeria 2020 Global Finance Magazine, Best Corporate Governance Financial Services Africa 2020 by Ethical Boardroom, Bank of the Decade, People's Choice, This Day Awards 2020, Bank of the Year 2020, Independent Newspapers, and Retail Bank of the Year 2020, Business Day Newspapers. This year, he was awarded the Best Banking CEO of the Year in Africa in the International Bankers 2023 Banking Awards. And he was also honored with a doctorate in business administration by the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, for his contributions to the banking industry and the financial service industry as well. And so you would know that there's a lot to learn from our distinguished guest this morning, having had an illustrious career in the banking and finance industry. And so with a lot of pleasure and honor, we'd like to invite on stage Dr. Ebenezer Onyagu, Group Managing Director, CEO of Zenith Bank PLC. Can your applause sound like his profile? Make it louder until he gets on stage. We're really grateful to have him come share with us despite his very busy schedule.
Good morning, everyone. I think I'm looking like I'm overdressed, so I'm going to remove my jacket. So, Mag, I'm just simply copying you. I'm very happy to be here. I think before then, I'll just tell us a little story. There's a case of an engineer who was assigned to the office of the CEO of an organization. All he knows is about engineering works, and he was told to prepare the hall that the CEO was going to have a high-level conversation. So he came to the hall and put up a ladder. The CEO enters the hall. He said, "What's the ladder doing here?" He said, "It's for your high-level conversation." Today, there's no ladder here because we are not having a high-level conversation. we are having a one-on-one interaction. My profile has been read, and I don't know what else to say other than the fact that I'm a typical homeboy Nigerian man. I grew up in this country. I had my primary school in my village. I have my secondary school by extension. You can call it my village, my town. And there are quite a lot of things that one has gone through growing up and getting to this level. Maybe I'll begin to drop some things and see how we connect them. First is to say that there are so many definitions of strategy, but the one I hold so dear is that strategy is about making difficult choices for the utmost outcome. I work with that. I try to make the most difficult choice in the options I have before me. 2, if you must lose anything, don't lose your integrity. We talked about building your competence. We talked about, there's also the fact that you must network to build friendship. So if you look at the equation of leadership, the equation of success, the constant you have there is integrity. If you lose integrity, you lose practically everything. When people talk about reputation, people are basically telling their expression of who you are. But what is most important is who you are when no one is watching. That is when you define your integrity. Third point I'd like to make is that we are the product of our decisions. Wherever we are today is a reflection of the quality, or if you like, what is a reflection of the quality of decision you've taken over the period. Next point for me is that you cannot, Mark said so, you cannot microwave success or leadership. You really need to work, you need to apply yourself to it. Again, you must also build network. You must have friends. You cannot exist as an island of your own. Because in life, it's said that life is about, or success is about 85% relationship and 15% your own ability, your own talent and initiative. Then the other point is that you must be prepared for failure. And for me, the most unfortunate human being is the one that has never met with misfortune. Because the first time misfortune hits you, you think it's the end of the world. But if you've had one misfortune, when the next one comes, you sit back and absorb it. And from misfortune, dealing with misfortune, you start building up your adversity quotient. Start looking at how to deal with exception, because certainly the wind will be contrary. Again, be prepared for betrayal. People will betray you. People very close to you, even family members, your colleagues, your most trusted friends, they will betray you. But what does that say to you? It's just about you knowing that, yes, it's time to move on and move away from certain people and move on with those that are aligned with you in terms of your character, in terms of who you are and what you want to be. And lastly, for me also is the fact that, I call it the concept of the pyramid. At the base of the pyramid, is wide. But as the pyramid goes higher and higher, what happens? It gets narrower. It gets narrower, which means the top is not meant for everybody. The top is meant for a few people. So it depends on where you want to be. You want to be at the base of the pyramid, or you want to be the face of the pyramid. So maybe I'll begin to say some experiences that will connect some of these issues. The man you see here didn't set out to be a banker. What I wanted to be was a soldier. And when I missed being a soldier, I sulked, I wept. It pained me for so many years. And growing up again, talking about the quality of our decision, way back when I was in primary 3. In primary school, from primary school, I was a bright pupil. First, second, third, fifth was my range. But on this particular day, I woke up. My mom had 9 of us. I have 4 elder sisters before me, the first son. So I was kind of maybe spoiled a little by my sisters. I woke up this day and we were doing exam. I refused to eat a particular breakfast. I wanted a particular breakfast and they refused to give it to me. And I said, I will not go to school that day. I was left alone. Mark you, it was exam period. I missed 3 exams. The next day I went to school, we completed the exam. When the result came out, I was 28 out of 30. I sat back, I reflected, and I told myself, never again will you take this risk. Therefore, we must be careful the kind of decisions we take. There is always a consequence for every action you take. Then fast forward, when we were finishing secondary school, there was also this idea of everybody wanting to travel abroad. And I was fascinated. I had this obsession about University of Utah in the US. I don't know why. And I was also concerned about reading biz admin. Do you know the reason why I wanted biz admin? The name biz admin, it sounded so musical. Biz admin, anywhere biz admin. I got the admission to Utah. I brought it to my father. He said, oh, very good. I don't have the money to send you to the US. You need to sit back here and study here. So that was first disappointment. After that, I said, then the next thing after secondary school, I must join the army. I went for the NDA exam. They said it was a difficult exam, we will fail. I never failed any exam. I passed the exam, one shot. I prepared for, the next thing was to go for the selection exam. I was supposed to be in the class of 33rd regular course. By the way, members of 33rd regular course in the army have all been retired. So I would have been retired, or who knows, whether one would have had a misfortune in war, you never can say. And I prepared, did all the the obstacle practice and everything. And we got to NDA. I was there for 3 weeks. And I don't want to tell you the story of why I missed the medical. The fact was that I was in the queue, I was pressed, and I had to leave the line. And we were told not to leave the line. I said, what's the meaning of this? When I came out, they were using the megaphone, shouting my name and number. I just said to myself, for as long as I had emptied myself, I'm fine. The beating they gave me, and it was proper medical. They were checking blood pressure. I got in, they checked my blood pressure, it was abnormal. The officer taking the blood pressure asked me, they were looking for you. Did they beat you? I turned my back to show him the signs of the beating. He tried it 5 times, it was abnormal. That ended my sojourn into the army, and I became very displeased. When I saw people coming with a plum and everything, oh my goodness, I said, this would have been me. And what I have done is that when I see anybody in the military, I have a natural attachment to them. Most of them are my friends. So when I didn't get that, I now said, well, what do I need to do? I need to go to school. And that was where the idea of my uncle's wife now said, why do you want to do biz admin anyway? I said, that's a good question. I don't even know why I want to do biz admin. I said, I just like the name. And I was also, I was occupied with the obsession of going to University of Jos. I started doing the JAM. They will not give me biz admin. They will give me psychology, sociology. I refused to take. And University of Jos would not even shortlist me. And she said to me, if you wanted to be in the army, that means you like a profession. Why don't you try accounting? I say, oh, what's the difference? Say, you can become a chartered accountant. I say, bingo, here we go. So I say, where's the best place? Say, go to a polytechnic. That's how I found myself in Auchi Polytechnic. And I got in there, people said, oh, there is a high failure rate in this place. Well, the rest is history. I went through Awuchi, came out. I think I was second best in the class. And as a youth corper, I enrolled, mark you, I say, making difficult choices. When I came out, I said, what do I need to become a chartered accountant? The first thing was you needed to process, because I read accounting, I had to process the exemption, I needed to write the final exam. And I said, what am I doing as a youth corper in Lagos? I enrolled for ICANN. And at first shot, I passed my ICANN. So that marked a departure. At that time, when my colleagues, my friends, my classmates were simply looking for work here and there, when I passed my ICANN, I got 4 offers. The first one that came was, at that time, a graduate would earn about 500 naira a month. It was a lot of money. I was started with 1,250 naira a month at HFP Engineering Company. I started there. 2 weeks I resumed in HFP. I got an offer from 7-Up. This time 7-Up's salary was going to push me to 1,500. I said, no, I'm resigning. I need to go to 7-Up. Until an older friend said, no, they don't do it like that. Nobody will recognize that you worked in HFP. Why don't you stop? Work here for a while. I worked there before I got into banking. And when I got into banking, the whole idea was, look, I wanted experience. I wanted to do something different. Beside that, while working in the bank, I was also eager to write other professional exams. CPA was very important to me. I applied for CPA. I was told I need to have an articleship in the US, and I need to sit for the exam in the US. I said, okay, not anymore. But anyway, got into banking, and I saw that banking was, then we had so many banks in the country. It was a situation where you saw somebody today in a bank, 2-3 months later he's in another bank. People were moving, within a year, somebody can move through 4 banks, and from assistant manager almost rising to an AGM. I said to myself that, how do I become an AGM without knowing what banking is about? Therefore, the next decision was that I needed to know what banking is about. I was working in a bank that eventually failed, but I left before it failed anyway. I won't mention their name. Then I got into, it was Citizens Bank. I felt the best way to learn was to be in operation. In the other bank, I was in credit and marketing. So I got into operation, I understood, was learning what was there. And I realized that teamwork was necessary. I was offering myself to do things that were not assigned to me. And the moment I realized that I was going beyond my call to duty and people, our superiors liked it, I said, bingo, this is the way to go. When some of my colleagues do not come to work, I'll go to our supervisor and say, this person is not at work. What is it that the person has to do? I'll take up the assignment. I wasn't looking at 8 to 5 or 6. It was about what needed to be done, had to be done very quickly. And in between, of course, there are challenges in the industries here and there. And the other thing is, there's this thing, I think it was between the President Reagan and Gorbachev during the period when they started talking about nuclear disarmament. When the Soviet Union then said they have destroyed all their nuclear warheads. President Reagan said, I trust you, but I must verify. Then, when I read it, I said, we experience a few things where, like I told you, you face betrayers. Where at work, people will set you up for failure. And you see somebody deliberately, banking is full of quite a lot of challenges. I witnessed people committing fraud, and I decided that I needed to be extra careful. And that saved me. How did it save me? When you tell me there is this thing, this approval has been given, can you process this? I say, let me see it. The concept of trust but verify started driving me, and that has enabled me to scale through a lot of difficulties. So when it came to movement, I have only worked in, yes, I worked in this first bank, I refuse to mention their name. I worked in Citizens Bank that is now in Heritage. From there, I worked in Zenith Bank. So in my entire banking career, I have only worked in 3 banks. And of course, this Zenith is my full final bus stop. How did I get to becoming CEO? Well, like I said, it's about applying oneself. It's about learning. And the period we face now is a lot more easier for you to learn than during our time. Why is it a lot more easier? Everything is on the palm of your device. If you enter anything through the web, you can learn practically anything. So there's opportunity for continuous learning. And nobody can inspire you more than yourself. Nobody can stop you other than yourself. So I took on big responsibility. And I took on issues. There was a time I was branch manager of Citizens in Warri branch. I became the branch manager at a time when the branch suffered a fraud of 100 million and nobody wanted to be there to provide leadership. I took on the role. I got there, it was like a graveyard. And I said I needed to wake up the spirit of everyone. And we started marketing for business opportunity. I remember going to Life Flower Mill, Saple. I got there, the financial controller, I still remember his name, Yomi Lawa. He said, this is the letter we'll prepare to close our account with you. It's already dormant. I said, why? He said, oh, we don't want to do business with you, Pope. I said, okay, is the finance director around? He said, yeah. I said, can I say hello? Well, why not? I got in to see the finance director. He's late now, Daniel Awani. I got in, he said, yes, I understand you are from Citizens Bank. Anyway, the letter for me to close the account, he said, I'm just about to sign. Persistence is very good. He said, have a nice day. I said, just a moment, I just wanted to get to meet you and let's talk about business. All of a sudden, his phone rang. His phone rang and there was a complaint that a distributor who paid him money into the account in Onitsha had been in the factory for 4 days. They have not been able to confirm his lodgement. The distributor was angry. And they were now asking him, what do we do? As soon as he dropped the phone, I said, I will solve this problem for you, sir. Allow me just 1 week. Tell your distributors to deposit money into Citizens Bank. Once they deposit, the same day I will confirm, I will give you a credit advice. He smiled. He said, I should have dispensed with you. I said, no. This is a moment of solution for you. There is a power that comes from persistence and conviction. I said, I'm going to try you instead of 1 week, 2 days. Of course, 2 days we did it. All the problems they had changed. It was solved. That year, I won 4 awards in Citizens Bank under the leadership of Chika Mbono. You can go and ask him, as the most outstanding branch and branch manager. So there is a power of persistence. It's about what you want to achieve. Then again, in terms of not microwaving, don't look at people where they are. I've also faced situations where people come, there's a deal here. Can we structure this deal? And I have seen so many people who didn't get to the pinnacle of their career, who stop at the base or at the face of the pyramid because of compromise. Never you look for a shortcut to make money. Never. It's not about you doing a deal. And there's a bit of, in some way, I would say, maybe a little bit of arrogance in me that will not allow me to compromise or cut a deal with you. I don't have patience for that. But I have seen that it has put a lot of people in trouble. I have seen that and I learned from there. So as upcoming professionals, the opportunities are immense for you. Africa doesn't get bigger than Nigeria. Today, where we are all at our boarding gate of retirement. Who are those that will be taking over from us in providing leadership? There's scarcity of the right kind of people that have the talents, that have the character, and have the leadership to provide leadership in organization. Make a decision to be one of those. Make a decision to be different. You must be driven by your passion. You must delay gratification. In Zenith, what you have driving us is the strive for excellence. It's not about who you are and where you come from. We have the best class of talents you can think of anywhere in the world. And the goals are defined for you. The parameters are there. So for some of you who are here taking the CFAs, if you are looking for a place to work, I'll tell you there are vacancies for you in Zenith. Because the desire is... The desire is for us to ensure that we have the best sort of people. And let me also say that coming in here, I looked at all the photographs for CFA. I didn't see my photograph, but I thought I was part of you. Aha. Okay, so it's there. And I said to Mag, I said, maybe I should have been doing CFA. Probably in retirement, I have to think of writing. But CFA is also a noble, very credible organization that for professionals. We just signed a partnership for human capital development. That is a demonstration and a testament of our commitment to building professional excellence in the finance industry in Nigeria. So I thank you. Maybe if there are questions, I can take them. I can see my time is off. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir. That was such an insightful session. And I'm sure that we have questions. Thank you so much, Dr. Nyagu. Do we have questions? I think we'd only have time for 2 questions. 2. Remember what we said earlier on? Grab the opportunity. Okay, so I have the lady in front here. A gentleman. Let me see. Okay, let me have that gentleman there. So the lady in the purple T-shirt here, right in front here, and then the gentleman in the blue top, yes, shirt. Please go ahead. Your name, please, and then your question.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rewan Osman, a chartered accountant, a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. Okay, thank you very much for the wonderful submission, sir. So my take home is that right from day one, when I was in secondary school, I've dreamed of being a banker. So I think one of the limiting factor I had during the journey was the fact that in Nigeria, after graduating, they would say that when you exceed a certain level of age, you won't be able to apply for a banking job. So then after that setback, I needed to sit down and start looking for another strategy that I will use to see if I can penetrate into the banking sector, which the dream did not come into reality. So my question now is that, why is it difficult for those people that don't have the opportunity to finish school at early age to penetrate into the banking sector?
Okay, all right. Thank you, Real One, for your question. Would you like to take one after the other, or?
Okay, it depends on what.
Yes, you can please respond to him.
Real One, thank you very much for the question. You know, there is a saying, make hay while the sun shines. We must be conscious about, see, if you lose the opportunity of doing something today, you've lost it for life. Let's not delay what we can do today, delay it till tomorrow. That's one of my driving principles. The same way you lose the opportunity of being happy today is gone for life. Today is 30th November 2023. You can never have another 20th November 2023. That's the first point. What am I trying to say? Whatever you have to do, do it quickly. There are certain areas where you can't compromise. Because if you come into banking, you are 40, you have no banking experience. You are going to be put under somebody who is probably 30 that will supervise you, depending on the department, if there is no work experience. So you are going to have a sense of disharmony, a sense of unhappiness in you if you have a situation where you are reporting to younger people. But however, I don't know what you are doing currently. Being a chartered accountant, I expect that you must be engaged. I don't see that you are up to 40. I think you are still employable. If you don't mind, let me have your CV.
Thank you very much, sir. One moment, one opportunity. That's all it takes. Grab it. I mentioned this earlier. I thought hands would be flying up when we asked for questions. The next lady, please.
Good morning, sir. My name is Ifidi Major Victoria. I'm a 300 level student, economics in Babcock University. So, and I'm also taking my ICANN program. My question is, it's very hard to get internships in banks. Like during the summer holiday, I went to so many banks, and then it requires connection to get internships in bank. And I really want to intern in a bank this summer because I'm taking my ICANN program and I'm just writing exams and I don't really have practical experiences about what I'm writing or where I would start working in. So that's my question. Thank you, sir.
So I just wanted to take it so I don't put the burden on you. So CFA Society actually has a few banks that work with them. So one of the things that on the research challenge that Zenith has done very well for us, and the students here will confirm, the best, because he mentioned something, he said his best candidate. Sorry, maybe I should come forward. He's the best candidate. So the best team in the research challenge actually gets to intern with Zenith Bank. It's given. And I want to say it while Mr. Ebenezer is on the phone. The best student in the research challenge actually gets a personal present from him in the form of cash and still gets a job. So in terms of Zenith, they already do that. But there are also other organizations. I just got Paid Financials to confirm. If you want internship, they will give you internship. There's so many organizations that come to us. So walk through the society office and we'll find where to place you for internship. So I don't put you under pressure.
Thank you, our president, for coming to my rescue. So, but I think the other thing to add is, yes, it's good that we have a structured arrangement. So my encouragement for you as a student is, yes, you are writing ICANN. I'm a member of ICANN. I'm going to take it up with the ICANN president for them to organize a scheme where they can be the one acting as the face of the students that want internship, because it gives it more credibility. Like she said, if you come under CFA, it's a free pass for you. And one other thing I'll tell you is, if any of you qualify, you are done with your CFA exam, I have an automatic employment for you in Zenith. By extension, if you qualify as a chartered accountant, you also have automatic employment. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. I think he deserves a really loud round of applause. Thank you, Dr. Ebenezer Onyagu. You definitely lit up this place, not just with your speech, but also with your very generous and kind actions. And well done to the people who are participants who ask questions. What we say is to strike while the iron is hot. So well done. But just a few things, a number of things. Remember I mentioned that what he's saying and what he's not quite saying. But a number of things there are too many nuggets from his speech. I'm just talking about integrity. He opened up by saying if you lose anything, or if you must lose anything, do not lose your integrity. And I think this is quite critical, especially in the financial services industry. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then also being a product of your decision. So every single decision you make right from now, and the great thing is that you're still young, especially for the students who are here. So you have a lifetime of decisions to make, and every single decision would count for something. And then, I was going to say that even though Dr. Onyagu, we're glad he didn't become a soldier, because we wouldn't have him as Zenith Bank MD. But I believe that he's the kind of person that even if he had become a soldier, he would have certainly made general, and perhaps maybe at some point or the other been president or head of state in Nigeria at some point. Because leadership sometimes is in the DNA and in your commitment to working. So important. Going the extra mile, power, persistence, and also asking, why do you want to do that which you're currently doing? And I thought it was also quite poetic that the biz admin he wanted to do when he was younger, he was given an honorary doctorate in that later in life. So it just goes to show that, that when you're diligent, at the end of the day, what it is you're looking for might find you in the future. So again, one more time, a round of applause for Dr. Ebenezer Onyago. Thank you very much. Move on very quickly to our next CEO's journey, my journey to CEO session. And this time we're going to be speaking to we're going to be hearing from the Managing Director, EcoBank Kenya and Regional Executive. Immediately afterwards, we would have our only panel session for today, and we have all our speakers present here. We cannot wait to hear them give their thoughts on the conversation today. I'd like to read the profile of our speaker. She's waiting. She's joined us for a few minutes now, joining virtually, and we are delighted to have her with us here at the CFA Institute Africa Investment Conference. She's a well-respected and highly experienced international banker and executive leader, and has an impressive track record of close to 30 years hands-on experience in commercial banking, treasury management, strategic planning and implementation, and investment banking. Prior to her current appointment, she was the Group Executive, Commercial Banking, EcoBank Group, where she raised the group's commercial banking business to profitability with impressive growth in revenue, PBT, and customer numbers, and remarkable reduction of the non-performing loan portfolio. Her work was focused on creating relevant solutions to help build African SMEs and local corporates and positioning them to become viable and sustainable. Passionate about uplifting women, she led the set-up flagship gender financing program for EcoBank Group, Elevate by EcoBank, that delivers financial and non-financial products to women-led businesses across the 33 African markets where EcoBank is present. Recently, she's taken up the role of Managing Director, EcoBank Kenya Limited, and the Regional Executive in charge of Central, East, and Southern Africa regions of EcoBank Group, overseeing 18 EcoBank franchises. Ladies and gentlemen, please make very welcome Josephine Anan Ankoma, Managing Director, EcoBank Kenya, and Regional Executive, Central, Eastern, and Southern Africa.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. Jambo from Nairobi, and it's a pleasure for me to be with you this afternoon. I really would have wished to have been there in person, and I think that we'll make that happen the next time. I have been also very challenged by the two speakers before me, and I resonate a lot with two things that they said. First of all, that if you would lose anything, like Ebenezer said, don't lose your integrity. That's the most important thing that you have. And second, that as you invest in others, remember to invest in yourself. I just want to take you through my journey and make a couple of points as I go along. There are 4 principles that I strive to live by as a person. And these are that I take my opportunities as they come. And like Ebenezer said before, I strike when the iron is hot. I don't dilly-dally. When I see an opportunity, I believe in it, I take it. The second thing is I aim for excellence. I have one opportunity to make a first impression, and I make sure that I don't blow it. In everything that I do, excellence is the hallmark. The third thing is that I see failure as part of the success journey. You cannot be successful until you've learned how to fail, and not to stay in that place, but to rise up after that and dust up yourself, pick up your lessons, and then move on to the next place. And the last thing is that the answer no is not the end of the world. The fact that I will be told no will not stop me from asking, and it will not discourage me. So no is not the end. It's not the end of the world. And let me say this: getting to the top, it does not just happen. It's not something that all of a sudden, you are down and then you are the managing director, you are CEO. No, it's not a fluke. It's not happenstance. It's hard work. And you need to work consistently at it every day. Because trust me, hard work beats talent any day when talent doesn't work hard. How did I start my banking career? I started my career as a treasury officer with EcoBank in Ghana with a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics and sociology. But I soon learned as I got on that, that was not enough. And it reminded me of the adage, and it's something that I work at, I push myself with as well, is to stay hungry and stay foolish. And note, I didn't say be hungry, be foolish. No, it's to stay with that openness, readiness to learn, readiness to move on to the next challenge, understanding that you don't have it all. Because the day that you feel satisfied and you feel wise in your own eyes, that is the day that you will ossify. You will fossilize and you will become totally irrelevant. So having that hunger to learn and to build is something that I challenge myself by. So I realized that having that first degree wasn't enough to take me through. So I enrolled to start my MBA, and I did this when I was married, and I was raising 3 kids at the ages of 5, 3, and 1. And was it easy? No. Juggling work, school, marriage, wife, mother was not an easy thing. But I kept my eye on the goal. I had a good support system, a husband and mom of blessed memory today, who were there to support me and to help me to propel. I kept my eye on the ball, and I finished, despite all of these odds that I had to juggle, on top of my class. A couple of years later, still hungry, still foolish, still wanting to do more, I decided to take on the ACCA. And for those of you who have written that exam, for me, it was the most difficult exam. I scraped through barely by the skin of my teeth. It was tough, but I invested in myself. I didn't only invest in myself academically as I went through my career journey. I realized that to be well-rounded, I didn't only have to know what was in Treasury. Within Treasury, there are different aspects of it, and I won't bore you with the details. But outside of Treasury management, I would go and sit with my friends at the end of work in risk management and say, how do you assess this credit? What should I look out for when I want to approve or approve a loan? Or go to the financial control department and try and put into place the things I had learned over in my ACCA, and I wasn't afraid and ashamed to ask for help when I needed it. And I wasn't ashamed to ask it, whether it's from a junior, from a senior. I would come and sit with you and say, teach me, show me. And that is how I built up my career. I continued to stay hungry. I continued to stay foolish. And one thing I did was to always go above and beyond. And like I said, strive for excellence. I didn't do only what was expected of me. That is ordinary. I challenged myself every time to go above and beyond and ensure that in everything, whether I was sending out an email, writing a memo, doing a presentation, whatever assignment it was, I made sure that it was excellent. There were no typos in it. It had the same font. It was well arranged, well thought through, and like I said, one opportunity to make a first impression, and I wouldn't blow it. I would prepare and over-prepare for every assignment. And when I saw an opportunity, I wouldn't miss it. I would just go for it. So like I said, I took my chances as they came. And sometimes these chances took me out of my comfort zone. So yes, I was treasurer for a while in Ghana. Then an opportunity came in when EcoBank was expanding into West Africa, into East Africa, into South Africa. A new office was created and they were looking for a chief operating officer. I applied for the role, I got that, and I began to work, with the regional director at the time to help with EcoBank's expansion into the rest of Africa. This is when I really learned what it meant what I learned about management. I was dealing with people who were older than me, more experienced than me in that regional office, and I had to demand accountability from them. And I had to work out how to get them to respond within timelines and within deadlines in a way that was not too brusque or that was not too abrasive. And I was able to succeed in that. During that period, I was given the opportunity to lead the acquisition of EcoBank of a bank in Burundi, which has now become transformed into EcoBank Burundi. And I had to stay in Burundi for 9 months to help them to set up the treasury, out of my comfort zone, out of my away from my family, but that was an opportunity. Yes, we had a lot of care, but we didn't have a treasury. I had to build it up from ground zero. And I left that business, by God's grace, as one of the most performing businesses within the country. So after that, I left EcoBank Burundi after 9 months, and it was an environment where it was all French. So that was when the French I learned in university came to play. And it also helped to boost up. So it helped to boost my language skills in French and my management ability, and of course, my treasury skills. So I came back from Burundi and took up the role as regional treasurer, where I was overseeing not only the treasury in Ghana, but in Guinea, Gambia, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. So I had a total balance sheet of roughly about $3 billion that I was managing. Then another opportunity came up, and like I said, I take my opportunities as they come. There was a managing director role that opened in a relatively small country, Gambia. With the balance sheet side, that was about a fifth of what I was managing at the time. Was it a no-brainer that I should take up that role? Not really, because everybody was like, why would Josephine leave managing a $3 billion balance sheet to $500 million balance sheet? But then I told myself, sometimes to take a step forward, you need to take a couple steps back, build yourself up, and then from there really launch out and propel. So I saw that opportunity as a stepping stone. And so the hungry, foolish Josephine took up this challenge, and with 3 things in mind: that I was going to revive that business, I was going to revamp that business, and together with the team relaunch it, because EcoBank Gambia at the time was not really a significant player. The balance sheet wasn't strong. It was not profitable. We told ourselves at the time that we will become the dominant #1 bank in Gambia. And at the time, I think we're number 5. But working together with that tenacity, with that resolve, we did together move that bank. And today, as I speak, EcoBank Gambia is still the #1 bank in Gambia. So I continued. And that was after 3 years. And so I was looking forward for the next challenge, looking forward to the next thing that I could do. And lo and behold, another opportunity came. And it's one of the few opportunities where you've had a managing director from a very small country move all the way up to become a group executive, within the EcoBank group, and be part of the highest making decision body within the group. So I moved from Gambia, one of the smallest countries, smallest balance sheet, to manage the commercial bank business of EcoBank across 33 markets. Now, when I took over this business, it was not a pretty bride as well. We had just gotten through a difficult patch. It was a loss-making business. We had, NPLs. It wasn't a business that anybody really wanted to touch with a 6-foot pole. But with that same mindset, reviving, revamping, relaunching, I went into that business. And today, we've had a lot of, that business has grown. And I dare say that it's currently the fastest growing amongst the 3 businesses within EcoBank. We have a consumer bank business, we have a commercial banking business, we have a corporate banking business. And when you look at it in terms of year-on-year growth, the commercial banking business today of EcoBank is the fastest growing business. And that is because somebody was willing to go out of their comfort zone. Somebody was willing to take up a challenge when it came, to make a change and to make a difference and to make something matter. One thing, and I'm proud of what we did, aside from transforming the business, was the launch of Elevate by EcoBank. And it's a flagship gender financing program. We've won several awards with that product. And I remember when I was speaking to one of the DFIs that I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it simultaneously across 33 markets at the same time. She said, Josephine, you are crazy. When we do these things, you start with 1 or 2 markets, test it, see whether it works, it doesn't. I'm saying, well, I'm going to do this differently. And thankfully, we were able to scale this across. We did a launch across all of our 33 markets. And today, that product has won over 3 awards for the EcoBank Group. So still taking up my opportunities as they came along, still striving for excellence. Another opportunity came after 3 years, which was then to become a role across the region. So what I did, the role came up, for regional executive. And I said, okay, why not? We've never had a woman regional executive in the EcoBank Group. Possibly I could be the first. So I put in my application, went through the process, and here I am today. The regional executive for what we call our Central, Eastern, and Southern Africa region in EcoBank is the biggest region. There are 33 countries in EcoBank where we have a banking license, 35, 2 in which we don't have a banking license. We are structured, one region is Nigeria, the other one is French-speaking West Africa, made up of 9 countries. We have English-speaking West Africa, Africa, which is made up of about 6 or so countries. Then you have the CESA region that's made up of 18. So aside from running a country, which is Kenya, I also oversee the businesses of EcoBank within 18 countries. This comes with its own challenge. It comes with its own, world game. There's never a dull moment. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it and about what we're doing. So I just want to conclude by saying this. I'm not here because somebody did me a favor. And I'm not here because I am a woman and therefore, they wanted to balance an equation and have a preacher face and a softer voice around the table. No. Like anybody else around this table, whether be it male or female, I am here because I've worked at it, because I am qualified, and because I have earned my stripes. I have worked long and hard, invested time, and made sacrifices. And like I said, I have taken my opportunities and my chances as they have come. I've not been afraid to do that. And I've not been afraid to fail. I've come across a lot of them. I just sit back, reflect, what can I learn out of this, take my lessons, dust myself up, and I move on to the next. I'm not ready to come out of my comfort zone. So that was what has seen me move from Ghana to Gambia to Burundi, traveling across the world and now stationed in Nairobi and traveling across 18 countries, all around. Has it been easy? No. Has it been, or is it overwhelming sometimes? Definitely. Sometimes I ask myself, what have I gotten myself into? What have I gotten myself into? But I just keep persevering. I keep pushing. I'm here to make a difference. I am here to make a difference and to make that difference matter. So I'm here to be extraordinary. I'm here to be excellent. And whilst I'm doing that, I want to be amazing and awesome at what I do. So make no mistakes. I'm not ashamed to proclaim that it's not of him that willeth, and it's not of him that runneth, but it is of the Lord who has showed me mercy. It is the God in me, and that's what people do not see. The times that you hit the ground, when you are low, when I get on my knees and like, God, you need to get me out of this one. I am just up to this wall. I don't have anywhere to turn. You need to make it happen. But trust me, and this is something I like to say, especially for those of us who believe, prayer is not praying alone won't take you there. So as a leader, if I spend 24 hours of my time praying, I will not be successful. There's a time for prayer, but there is that time for hard work. And you need to make sure that you have that balance. It's like going into an exam room and deciding that instead of learning before the night, you're going to spend your whole night praying. You are not going to open a book and you are expecting some divine revelation to drop and for you to pass that exam. It hasn't worked for me that way, maybe for you, but you have to put in the work. Then you need to recognize what your limitations are and recognize that there's a God factor that moves you above and beyond. The two of them must come together. And I must say that I've had wonderful support. I've had a husband who has been willing to let me go, willing to let me be me, who is not afraid of my success, who actually basks in my success and is willing to help me. When I have anything to do, he's a lawyer. I have something to read through, a speech to give, something to bounce off by. He is there for me all the time. My kids, they understand. They're grown up. They understand why mommy has to be away. My mom, of blessed memory, she took care of my kids when I couldn't make it, when I wasn't around. So having that support system around me has made it happen for me. And there's one thing that I drive myself by, and let me say this before I close. When others are sitting, I tell myself, Josephine, I have to stand. And when others are standing, I say, Josephine, you need to be outstanding. And when others are outstanding, I say, Josephine, you need to be the standard. So as I close, I want to encourage you. You need to go above. You need to go beyond. You need to be standing. You need to be outstanding. And you need to be the standard. And God being your helper, you will make it. Thank you very much. And I'll pause here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Wow. That was brilliant. Please, can we give her a round of applause so that she can hear in Kenya? Wow. You need to stand out. You need to be outstanding. And then you need to be what? The standard. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Obviously shared so passionately and shared from our heart. Thank you, Josephine Annan Ankoma, Managing Director, EcoBank Kenya and Regional Executive, Central, Eastern and Southern Africa. Brilliant, brilliant. So many nuggets. Loving the fact also that she mentioned that she didn't achieve all this because she sees herself as a woman, or whether you're a man, she's just someone who is excellent and diligent and able to do all these things by the grace of God. And of course, when she said, hard work beats talent any day if talent doesn't work hard. That's a quote for you to tweet right there. Hard work beats talent any day if talent doesn't work hard. And so that's the same trail as Dr. Onyagu's speech as well, the importance of diligence and perseverance and persistence. Thank you so very much. We're really, really grateful. And we look forward to having you again at future events and conferences in the coming years. Thank you so much. All right, very quickly, we'll move on to the panel. All right, very quickly, we're going to move on to the panel session, and we do recognize and acknowledge all our virtual participants. We recognize that we have people who are online, who are watching, and who also want to be actively involved. So for the next question cycle, we're ensure to take questions online. Just type your questions. We have members of our team who are online watching out for your question. All right, we move on very quickly to our only panel session for today. And we're really delighted to have our distinguished group of panelists with us this afternoon. Excited to have them join us today. I hope you've packed in a lot this morning already. Have you? Has it been good? Has it been great? Has it been fantastic? Absolutely, absolutely. Our panel session today is going to be on building a successful career in finance and investment. And I'll introduce our panelists shortly. Our first panelist is currently the head of credit risk at InfraCredit. He is a professional with over 20 years of experience in credit risk management, structuring and syndications, financial analytics, and asset recoveries. Prior to InfraCredit, he was a senior credit analyst, corporate credit at Union Bank of Nigeria, and held a credit approving authority mandate. He has held senior credit analyst and management roles in financial institutions such as credit manager, specialized credit at Stanbic IBTC Nigeria, credit risk documentation officer at Citigroup Nigeria, and remedial manager, asset-based finance at Citigroup Nigeria. Please let's make very welcome Chidi Mike Ene as he comes on stage. Thank you. Our next panelist is the Managing Director of FBN Quest Securities Limited, a subsidiary of FBN Quest Merchant Bank, which is a subsidiary of First Bank of Nigeria Holding PLC. She was the Managing Director of Africa Alliance Limited, a South African investment banking firm where she worked before her current role. She has also worked with Codrus Capital, Stanbic IBTC Bank, and Lead Capital Limited in varying capacities. She's an accounting graduate from Lagos State University with equivalent professional qualifications as chartered accountant and chartered stockbroker. She holds an MBA from the prestigious Lagos Business School and a diploma from ESA, Spain. She's the first female vice president of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers of Nigeria, a position held by men for the last 30 years, which clearly distinguishes her and she serves on various committees with exceptional contributions. Please let's make very welcome Fiona Ahimie. Our next panelist, you're most welcome. Our next panelist is the Managing Director of FMDQ Securities Exchange Limited. She also serves as a non-executive director on the boards of FMDQ Clear Limited, FMDQ Depository Limited, FMDQ Private Markets Limited, and IQX Console Limited. She holds an MBA from Durham Business School, UK, and a bachelor's degree in economics from the University of Lagos, Nigeria. Over the last 20 years, she has built her career across trading, operations, business analysis, business development, product and markets development, marketing and project management in various organizations, including Guarantee Trust Bank PLC, Goldman Sachs International, UBS, London, and Merrill Lynch. Please let's make very welcome Tumi Shekoni. You're welcome. And our final panelist is a gentleman who is currently the CEO of Page Financials. He has over 30 years experience in the banking financial services industry, of which 15 years were spent in senior management and executive positions. He has exemplary leadership and business process transformation skills employed in his past roles with responsibilities for shared services at Skybank PLC with over 250 branches across Nigeria. He was also at various times responsible for the bank's businesses across West Africa and particularly positioning the bank as one of the most technologically advanced financial institutions in the country. He was a director on the board of Law Union and Rock and is presently a member of the board of IHS Towers, the largest tower company in Nigeria. As part of the founding team at Ren Money Microfinance Bank, he provided strategic leadership and direction at startup, which led to its evolution as one of the leading consumer finance institutions in the country. He holds a first degree in computer science from the University of Lagos and an MBA from the prestigious Lagos Business School. He's an alumnus of INSEAD Business School in France, Wharton Business School, University of Pennsylvania, and has attended several senior management courses. He's a member of the Institute of Directors and honorary senior member of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, HCIB. Please let's make welcome Segun Akintemi. And I'll be handing over now to the moderator for this panel session, a woman who is currently the MD CEO at United Capital Asset Management Limited. She has over 17 years relevant experience in the financial services sector in the areas of audit and compliance, portfolio management, financial analysis and reporting enhancements, tax and regulatory management, strategy and investor relations, treasury and cash flow management, business process automation, capital raising, equity and debt, budget preparation and analysis, corporate rating management, and finance team training and development. Throughout her career, she successfully led business strategy and corporate performance initiatives, delivering exceptional results. Her expertise lies in investment management, business transformation, and driving market leadership. Her past roles include Group Chief Financial Officer, Head, FinCon, and Head, Financial Planning, Strategy and Investors Relations at United Capital PLC. She was also the CFO at UBA Capital Limited, the defunct investment banking arm of United Bank for Africa PLC. Ladies and gentlemen, please make very welcome your moderator for this session, Odiri Ogini, CFA.
Wow. Good morning, everyone. And good morning to my distinguished panelists. Can you hear me? Have we enjoyed the session this morning? So please show me your notes. If you've been taking notes, let me see. How many pages? How many pages? 10? Who has 20? 20. Raise up your hand. Wow. So today we'll continue with what we've started, listening to some of the most distinguished finance professionals in the industry, and sorry, can you hear me? Is it too loud? All right. So I'm going to be starting out to understand the career journey of the people we have on the platform. We've listened to Ebenezer, we've listened to Josephine. Now we're going to be listening to some personalities from different investment firms, different financial institutions. So we'll start with learning about your career journey. How did you get to the top? I'm sure many of us are asking ourselves, when am I going to be the head of a stock exchange? When am I going to be the CEO of one of the most thriving securities trading firm in Nigeria? Or when am I going to sit at the helm of a strong financial institution like we have for Segun here? So I'm going to be asking each of the panelists one by one, briefly highlight some of the key milestones that have gotten you to the top of your career. So let me start with Chidi. You have the floor.
Good morning, and thank you very much for having me here. I will probably start by saying that my career journey has been driven by maybe 3 things. There was luck. Then, at a young age, I heard this saying from someone, two sayings. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And then the third one was something, I'm not sure it's true, but it sort of guided me. Someone told me that he believed that in life, you have a finite amount of enjoyment and suffering that is destined for you. It's up to you which one you want to take first. if you take the enjoyment, the suffering will wait. If you take the suffering, then if you decide to mix and match, it's up to you. So that has sort of shaped my career journey. So I started off as an analyst in a bank, Citibank back then. And I found myself in recoveries by a stroke of luck. So working in recoveries, it afforded me an opportunity to see how not to do it before I started doing it. So, but that was just by sheer luck. I didn't ask for that, but it shaped my view of how to do banking. Quickly, I moved on to various other units, but one of the things I realized back then, the master's degree wasn't as common as it is now, but I quickly saw that those with a master's got some preferential treatment, and there was a lot of lamentations, if you want to put it that way, about how some people were getting preferential treatment. But I said to myself, I'm not going to lament. I'm going to go and get my own, and then come and partake in this preferential treatment. So I started to make a plan, how to save, how to get there. And that happened, and then I did that, and I returned to work. And I was very clear as to what I wanted to do or learn about, when I returned to work. So when I started interviewing, I started interviewing while I was overseas. And I got a number of offers, but it was supposed to just provide a soft landing. But I took a risk and I said, after I got these offers, I rejected them. And then I came back with nothing. When I came back to Nigeria, I had nothing. But it was a risk, and the reason was because I didn't want to start off with something I didn't like and then get stuck in there. So I came back and started looking for what I wanted. And I got what I wanted by, again, some luck and some determination. But, fast forwarding to today, one of the things that has helped is that I sort of had a plan, knew what I wanted to be, and I recognized that the only way to get to the top, or close to the top, if you want to put it that way, was to get extremely good at this thing. That you want to be, in everything you do, you want to be so good that once people think about it, your name comes up. I'll use this example. As a young man, I ventured into a lot of things. I used to own a boutique, and there was everything in there. And later on, I realized that the reason why you're not doing well was because you were doing everything. You wanted to do something that once people thought of it, if it was jeans, once people thought of jeans, they thought of you. So that's how I sort of shaped my career journey, to find something and just focus and get really good at it, so that once you think about that thing, you will think about me or someone like me. So that's what has shaped my own career journey.
Thank you very much. So did you pick luck out of that, from what he said? And some of us will be asking ourselves, how can I get lucky? Well, please, don't just focus on luck, because if you hear what he said, you have to be so good at what you do that you cannot be ignored. So I will write that and then write luck after, because it is when you're so good at what you do that luck comes. Thank you very much, Chidi, for that. Sophia?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Thank you, Chidi. Hello, everyone. Good morning again. Good morning. Thank you. So just going to write on the back of the last thing that Chidi said, putting that energy, that effort, to the point of being irreplaceable, seemingly irreplaceable wherever you are. Now, I'll tell you about my career journey. I started out not too brilliant. I was challenged, as a kid, trying to assimilate and gain knowledge. It was hard. Primary school was hard. But towards the tail end of primary school, I was 1 out of 3. And I was first, second, third by a margin of 0.1. And that became the standard for me. And I think for me, my career has been shaped by my growing up, how I grew up and the environment I grew up in. I grew up in an environment where we have a lot of people coming to our house and everybody trying to, ask for help in one way or the other. And I told myself I could have chosen 2 paths: to be part of those people that will go to people's house in future, or be comfortable in my parents' comfort zone and ride on it. But I told myself I wanted to be comfortable enough so that I will not have to go to somebody's house before I get a meal to eat or do the things that will pleasure me. And I also was going to be comfortable enough to be able to give help to others. So those were the things in my head when I was growing up. So invariably, I wanted to be successful. So whatever success looked like was what it was for me. Now, coming into the university, I had no guidance. I didn't know anything, 2-1, 2-2. I had no clue there was any such thing as that. However, because my aim was just to be successful, I knew I needed to go to school. So even when there was discouragement, you've done primary school, it's okay, go and sit down at home, or you've done secondary school, that's the end, I still pursued on and went to university. Now, I thought my background was very poor, and then later I started to do well. Because, back then, when you are a brilliant student, you should naturally be a science student. So I went into sciences, and I did my sciences, and I passed. But during the practicals at the end, I knew that this journey is not for me. So I switched, and I went into accounting. Somebody then told me that for me to be successful, don't forget, I don't have any accounting background in my secondary school. So somebody told me to do well in my accounting in university, I have to write ICANN, and also to do well as a professional, I needed to have that ICANN qualification. So when I rolled into university and started doing my ICANN, such that I even graduated as a professional chartered accountant before I finished my university. But for me, excellence, thank you. Excellence was the most critical thing for me. For me to be successful, there are a whole lot of people in this world, and everybody wants to be successful in some sort. That means I have to be exceptional. For me to be exceptional, I had to be intentional about it. So everything about my career was quite intentional. And I built up confidence over the period that I could walk to anybody. All my careers, all my jobs from the day one, I just walk up to somebody that I think has the power to give me a job and say, sir, I am blah, I have this is what I can do, I need a job. And God has also been good to me. I've gotten favors, and all through the careers, that is all I've done. I don't have to write any long letters, look for a job. I've never looked for a job before. I just walk up to people, and then the job is there. And that is because I was intentional. But beyond being intentional, I was knowledgeable. I knew what exactly the industry I was getting into required. Now, after my ICANN, after my university, I was recommended for my very first job, and it went well, but I just thought I wanted investment. If I wanted to make money for myself and make money for others, right, I needed to delve into the world of investment, and I started, and that's how I became a chartered stockbroker. When I got that qualification, my boss in the office was like, okay, Fiona, now you're a chartered stockbroker, what can you do? Oh, look for investment opportunities, let us do business. Beyond your job, I was an accountant then, beyond your day-to-day, let's see what we can do and make money. So I'll give him investment tips, we'll make money, and the profit will give me 10% and he'll keep 90%. It was outside my job, so I was fantastically doing well. I bought my first car in my very first days of working. And then the guy was like, okay, sorry, we cannot do this arrangement anymore. You are too young to be seeing this kind of plenty money. We'll do it at the end of the year. End of the year, it was story. And I moved on to the next. I quickly move on to the next. I very quickly move on to the next. I don't wait for anybody to frustrate me. When I started my career proper, I was doing very well, but I lacked something. I had a pitfall, and that was because I didn't know how to manage up. I felt like I was a superstar. I knew my job. I was doing everything that is required of me. I didn't need to manage my boss. My boss, you told me to do this, and I've done this, and that's the end of it. And it's really backfired, and it backfired badly. There was a program we were doing in my office back then where you have to go to London for 6 months. But because my boss felt like, they took it as arrogance, that, oh, she's too arrogant, she thinks she knows it. They clamped back on that thing, and that thing didn't succeed. So please, in everything you do, with all the knowledge and intentionalities, you need to be able to manage people around you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fiona. So I hear a drive, I hear determination for success. Did you hear that? I heard being intentional, and also being able to manage your boss. Thank you so much for sharing. So Tommy, we'll move on to you.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Morning, everyone, and it's a delight to be here. So my story may be sort of different from Fiona's. For starters, I wasn't first, second, or third in school. I was probably one of those who were kind of like at the back. And even in university, I'm not gonna lie, I played. I played for a while. I partied. Yeah. I partied, and maybe it was in my second semester in my third year. So I went to University of Lagos. I studied, yeah? Great Akokites, yeah? Yeah, so I think my third year in university, and I started hearing about this GPA thing. I'm like, okay, where the heck am I? I was like, okay, Tutu. I said, you know what, maybe you should start going to class. And so, okay, no, I think there was one course, and it was accounting, that I actually failed in. I was like, huh, I can fail? So I thought, okay, you need to start being serious. And I started going to lectures properly, properly. I used to go once in a while, but properly in my second semester in my third year. And I started doing quite well, I ended up passing my accounting in flying colors. I was quite surprised at my ability. I mean, I knew I wasn't dumb, but I know I was actually quite smart. And when I say quite smart, it's about applying yourself. So not that, I had to apply myself. I went to class, I listened, I understood, and I was able to do well. Didn't come out with a 2-1 necessarily because, again, I only started being serious towards the end. But I think what I realized at the time was if you applied yourself, I think the sky will be your limit. And from then on, so after uni, I did my NYSC in Intercontinental Bank, and then I worked in Guarantee Trust Bank. And in Guarantee Trust Bank, there was training school for anyone who went to Guarantee Trust Bank. And one of the key things there was you needed to pass training school, I think with a minimum of 65%, across all your subjects and everything. And I know when I was having the interview with the CEO at the time, he said, you know what, if you do not pass the training school and get this minimum 65% across all your subjects, we're not going to hire you. Now, I was Intercontinental, I had done my NYSC, and I was actually retained, but I didn't want to stay there. So in my mind, I was thinking, when he said, I was like, sure, that's not a problem. But in my mind, I was thinking, you didn't actually get that in uni, so how are you going to do that now? But I just thought, just go and apply yourself. And I did apply myself, and I was first in the training school, and I started working in Guarantee Trust. Thank you. Wow. So yeah, Guarantee Trust, I did that for a few years, and then I decided to go do my master's. I did an MBA in Durham Business School, and I stayed on in the UK, and I worked in a few of these investment banks and all of that. Again, across my career, I said I came first in training school in Guarantee Trust Bank, and normally when you come first in training school, you're either going to be a trader, you're going to work in, the investment banking arm kind of thing. But no, I was posted to the clearing team. And I thought clearing, but I was like, you know what, in anything you do, put in your very best. And that was what I did. I managed to enjoy clearing, and not long after, I was moved to a different department, and then eventually I got into the trading, and I was a currency trader. Then after that, I said, go do a master's. That's essentially the next thing. And as one of the speakers said, having a master's was a good thing to have. I just thought, okay, let's go do it and see how that goes. Did a master's, stayed on again, like I said, in the UK for some years, working in different investment banks and all of that. And then this opportunity came, and a friend of mine, we worked together in Goldman, and I think worked together in Guarantee Trust as well. And then she says to me one day, "What are you still doing in London?" I'm like, "What am I not doing? I'm cool here, I'm happy." She said, "Look, her boss is coming into town, have a conversation with him." And I just thought, I'm going to have that conversation. I'm not moving to Nigeria, but let me do that so they don't say I'm not serious. And I had this conversation about this new company in Nigeria, what do you think about it, blah, blah, blah. Why don't you just come 3 months, try it out. If you don't like it, you can go back to the UK. And I thought, yeah, that's good. Let me come to Lagos, have some fun. I think you said I'd like to have fun, small. I just thought, have some fun, 3 months, and then I head back to the UK. So that's how I started in FMDQ, which was a startup at the time. I'd never done a startup. I had never done anything like that before, but what made me make that decision to still go was I could see, and what I'd experienced over the years was, as long as you apply yourself, understand what it is you're doing as much as you can, and apply yourself, and you will do well. I just thought, let me try it out. 3 months, I go back. After 3 months, I extended for 6 months, for another 3 months, and then it's been almost 10 years I've been in FMDQ.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tomi. So what did you take from this experience and career story? Apply yourself. And you can see how applying yourself applies all through, and has gotten her to where she is. She will tell you more about that. So Shegun, over to you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me here. My career is a bit different from most of us seated here. I'm not a chartered accountant. I'm not a CFA. Neither do I have all these large qualifications. But I started my career 35 years ago with a bank called Union Bank. And maybe I should roll back a bit. I wanted to do my first degree, and I was in Form 5, and I was saying, what do I choose? What course do I do? I started from, I know I loved maths, and by my Form 4, I already had, we used to do GCE then, for those that remember. I don't know if it existed now. We had GCE, then you have your school cert. So I was doing my GCE, and by my Form 4, I already had an A3 in maths, so just waiting to get into the university. So I spoke to my dad, and I said, what do I do? Which course? We went through the rigors. And he said, look, you should seek for new learnings. And then there were two very interesting things that was readily available. So it's either you're looking at what they called petroleum engineering, because of course, oil and oil servicing was a vogue then, and they paid good salary. Then there was this other thing called computer science. And I was asking myself, what the hell was computer science? What value does it add to me? But they said it's something new, it's something interesting. So I chose computer science, Unilag, and of course, petroleum engineering in UI. So they announced that the results were out, and on this fateful evening, my sister and I, we both did JAMB. And I said, okay, I'm going to take you to JAMB office on Hawksworth Road in Ikoyi. And I know that I'm not even, because I was looking forward patiently to go to do my A-levels in KC, because King's College was supposed to be the best school to go to then, And of course, if you've done all this literary and debating thing, that is where you always go to have fun. So I was looking forward to go to KC to do my A-levels. All of a sudden, I got to the JAMB office. So I left my sister to go and check her result, and I sat in the car. And she came back and said, guess what, your name is on the list. I said, to do what? She said, computer science in Unilag. And I found myself in Unilag doing computer science. Now, I left Unilag, and I got a job with Union Bank because my father was there. And it was, I would say, a very easy access for me. But one of the things I realized was that he had built a bar which inferred that I had to ensure that I did my utmost best as a person to ensure that I don't disappoint him. I worked there for about 3 years, and of course, after 3 years, I realized that I needed to step aside and do something for myself as a man, or wherever you find yourself. And I got a job then with another bank, and I started a very interesting career, of course, towing the path of IT. And I did that for a few years. But one of the things I realized was that in building a career, apart from the fact that you have to have a focus on where you want to get to, it's also very, very critical that you actually first have a mindset of what you want to do as a person. A lot of times, and there are two ways to do these things. There is either circumstantial, meaning that you find yourself in an environment where you have to build yourself around that environment, or your own gut, which is what you want to do as a person. Because as I look at my career over the last 35 years, I realize that these two things have shaped the way my thought process is. And of course, going into banking, I realized, or technology in banking, was a different phase, because they classify you as the support functions, and those in marketing, in sales, are the people bringing the money, and are the people who are relevant. But the turning point for me was the fact that I focused on understanding my job well, so well that every new regime that comes are demanding for my services or my support in growing the business of the bank. So in doing that, what I got an opportunity at a point in my career, because I was doing my computer science and, of course, IT jobs, and very, very comfortably so. But it got to a point where I realized that, look, there is a bigger opportunity. Because I understand technology, which forms the bedrock of everything banking is about, I was able to integrate myself into mainstream banking. And over my career, as I moved along, I stared off. IT became just about 10% of my career, and I moved into mainstream banking to the extent that today, in the last 10, 15 years, I've been running financial institutions. And I would also say that it's important to acquire a lot of degrees, but it's also very, very important to acquire knowledge. Because these degrees sometimes don't give you knowledge. You can get the ACCA, FCA, CFA, everything. But what is more important is how do you put these things into practice? So for me, the passion for learning and developing myself is what actually got me here. And of course, about 18 years ago, after doing so many years in banking, I felt it was time for me to step up my learning. And I went to LBS for an MBA. And I'll tell you, I think one of us here did an MBA in LBS. I don't think it's any different from an MBA in Harvard or Yale or Wharton. I can assure you of that. Because the rigor you go through is intense. And seriously, at the point, I was a DGM in a bank while doing my MBA. So you can imagine the nightmare of juggling the two. And I was a bit surprised that I actually passed because it was intense. But above all, I think it's important you are able to determine, first, the environment you find yourself in, the people around you, because they have a very, very strong impact on you. And secondly, your own gut feeling as a human being, what do you want to do? And it's actually balancing those two things that will determine where you get to in life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shegun, for sharing. So what I can take from what everyone has shared is that success is predictable. And that's the truth. Whether it's career success, Success in business, in your finances, success is predictable. So either it's from being so good at what you do and leveraging luck, to being intentional and knowledgeable, to applying yourself, and then to having a mindset of what you want, and not just acquire degrees, acquire knowledge. I think that's a point that we need to, emphasize. Don't just acquire degree. Make sure that in acquiring the degree, it's good to acquire the degree, so write the CFA exam, take the ACC, do the MBA, but the most important thing is to ensure that you're acquiring knowledge in the process. So thank you very much, the panelists, for sharing that. I will move on to more specific questions. And because we have one of our panelists who needs to leave in the next 5-10 minutes, I will focus on her. So Fiona, this question is for you. I'm sure if I ask everybody here, at least 80% of our students will say they are here to network. Am I correct? Am I correct? And if you listen to the profile of Fiona, you will know that she's a very great networker. She's the first female vice president of one of the largest finance professionals in Nigeria. So Fiona, there are 3 questions in one, just to ensure that we are able to get out of you as much as possible. So what role has networking played in your career journey so far? And then what relationships are vital to building a successful career in the finance and investment industry? And also, what advice do you have for individuals looking to build a strong professional network in finance? So let me just take those questions again. What role has networking played in your career journey so far? What relationships are vital to building a successful career in the finance and investment industry? And also, what advice do you have for individuals looking to build a strong professional network in finance?
Thank you, Gini. So, like I said from the beginning, I didn't party in school. I was busy reading. I was content from coming from sciences into going into accounting and then adding on ICANN, so I didn't party. But I also believe there's time for everything, and I always believe that nothing is going to run away. I tell my son, this gadget that you are glued onto, the games, there's going to be an upgrade all the time, yeah? You always have the time and opportunity to do it. So please, TikTok is good, everything, all these things are good though, but see, they will not run away. So please, don't bury your life inside these things. So coming up from the university with no social life, and I knew that was also important, my party days started. When I was younger, I told you that I lived in an environment where we had a lot of people coming into our house and we were like providing. So I was pretty much very, I felt entitled and I wasn't very polite. My mother got ill one of those times and I went to one of the aunties that stayed with us to make me sandwich. And she was like, so I was in university, like, you are a woman just like me, you can't make sandwich, stay there. So when I went to see my mom in the hospital, I told her, and she said, you do sandwich like this, like this, like that. But that brought some awareness to me, and I knew that I needed to be polite. And with that politeness, it endeared me to a lot of people, such that even when I was switching from my sciences into my accounting, it was somebody that went around asking, what else can this girl do? Because coming from home, I didn't have anybody to give me any direction. Now, networking is very critical. We are no islands. Each and every one of us needs somebody to hold us up and pull us up at one point or the other. And it's a no-brainer. For you to even get to the point where you are, you have friends in the university. You have friends that when you don't understand a subject, you can ask them and say, what is this thing about? So that is what networking is all about. It's about meeting people. And meeting people and making a first impression, just like what we did this morning when we came in with Iromarese. When you meet someone, you should be able to make an impression. And you cannot make an impression if you do not have knowledge. You cannot make an impression if you do not have anything to offer. if you go out and you see people and everybody say hello, I say hi, hello, hi. And even when you say question and answer, somebody who wants to ask a question, I saw some people do like this, they're like this, indecisive. You know, you need to be confident in yourself. After you've acquired knowledge, you need confidence to be able to walk up to anyone. I can walk up to anyone. So if somebody asks me, oh, Fiona, I need to access somebody, I'll like, okay, who is the person? Oh, really? I don't know this person, but I can access him because I know somebody who will know somebody that will know somebody that will know somebody that will know the person, right? That's how networking works. So networking is very critical, and these two ingredients are very essential. First of all, come out from your shell. You should be knowledgeable to be able to speak in the room. I must have the confidence to be able to approach and speak to anyone. Now, what kind of relationships do you need to build in an industry like this? When I started, I did not know what mentorship was. I did not know what coaching was. So for me, it was Fiona being knowledgeable, God helping her, and she achieving the things that she's achieving. But along the line, I understood that you needed people who have gone ahead of you to give, help you, handhold you, and tell you stories and direct you on some of the things and mistakes that they've made so that you do not make them. So as you are relating with your peers, with yourselves, it's also very important and critical to have relationship with people who are maybe a cadre above you and even the next cadre above you. So that is very critical. And the advice I would give you is be your true, authentic self. Be confident in your abilities. And confidence only comes when you are knowledgeable and you know your stuff. If you don't know your stuff, you're not going anywhere. So spend that time to build knowledge. Be your authentic self and just go out there and do your thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Fantastic. 2 ingredients for networking. What are they? The 2 ingredients for networking that she highlighted. It shows you're not listening, no? Knowledge and confidence. Knowledge and confidence. Some other things she said, be authentic. That's very, very important. Be yourself. Most times it's not easy to, when we are asked to, 5-second or 10-second introduce yourself, you could see a lot of people are trying to, form. When you're networking, you're not forming. You have to be yourself. You have to be authentic because you're building a relationship for the long term. So you can't be forming at that point in time. But it's also important for you to know yourself. I think that's very, very critical. Know yourself. If you don't know yourself, how can you be yourself? And if you can't be yourself, how can you be authentic? So thank you very much, Fiona, for sharing that. I'm going to move on to Shegun. I see you as an old generation professional. Yeah. You worked in Gulf Bank. How many of us have heard about Gulf Bank?
So just a moment. May I please just interrupt for a second? I'd like us to take pictures, group pictures before Fiona leaves. Just interrupt the session for a few seconds. Thank you so much. Just a very quick group picture with the president, CFA Society, so that we have all the panelists in one picture. We understand that Fiona has to leave due to commitment already scheduled. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, fantastic. A round of applause, please, as she has to leave. However, the panel continues, and so I'll hand over to Mrs. Ogini to continue with such an insightful and really, really impactful and relevant panel. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So I was saying, how many of us have heard about or banked with Gulf Bank? apart from, okay, so it's clear that we don't even know what Gulf Bank is. The banks we know are the new generation bank, which is why I refer to you as an old generation professional. You've seen, you've unseen, you've seen trends, you've seen changes. both on the business landscape as well as, on the professional landscape. So my question for you today is, looking at the future, by going back and looking at, where you're coming from, what are the trends that you see? What are the likely evolution that you see that will impact on, the investment professional? And I'm asking this question also because you lead one of the most innovative, finance company today. The likes of when REM Money started, you were part of the founding team, to set up Page now, you're also one of the founders or the founder driving that. So what are the likely changes and trends that you see in the future, that investment professionals, young investment professionals need to pay attention to that might likely impact on their career?
Thank you very much. I think one thing that is important and critical, I talked about knowledge earlier, is, knowledge transits to skills. And over the last 10, 15 years, I realized that you don't recruit people for just their qualification. You recruit people for their skills. And one of the reasons why I was encouraged to study computer science for my first degree is the fact that as at that time, there was no way anybody would graduate with a degree in computer science and will find him or herself jobless. Yeah. So, and again, the skill that you are acquiring, doing, of course, learning computer science, was applicable to almost every facet of the industry. You could get a job in a bank, get a job in the manufacturing sector, get a job in an audit firm. The diversity was so much. So if I use that context and bring it, of course, fast forward it probably into the future, the next 10, 15 years, I'll probably look at about maybe 2, 3 skills. CFA is nice, ACA is nice, all these qualifications are very nice. But there are some innate skills that you should have, which also positions you. And there are these few industries. So people talk so much about data analysis. If I ask you, I don't know whether data analysis is part of the curriculum for CFA, but if you look at data analysis now, people that understand how to speak to data are the biggest money makers in this country, or in this world now. Because once you can speak to data, you can actually predict what would happen in the future. So people are not, there are 3 or 4 ways to look at things. You could decide to be reactive, which is responding to what has happened. You can decide to be proactive, which is trying to anticipate what would happen and try to prepare yourself for it. But you could also decide to be pre-active. The pre-active person is the person that defines what would happen in the future and pursues it. So, if you have these data analytics skills, I can assure you where you get to is unbelievable. I have a son who did his first degree and he wanted to do his master's, and we're talking about his master's, and I said, what would you do? He said, I'll go for an MBA. And I said, no, I don't think an MBA would be ideal. Why don't you do data analysis? He did his data analysis. Today he's working with a law firm. Now, you'd ask me what someone that did a master's in data analysis is doing in a law firm. But what he does is that his law firm actually has about 8 people in the analytics department. Wow. And they're focusing on analyzing all the judgments that have happened. They're looking at it from the perspective of the judges. They're looking at it from the perspective of the type of cases. They're looking at it from the perspective of even the lawyers and their qualification, to the extent that they are going to get to a point, or they are getting to a point where they can almost predict what the judgment a particular judge who is matched with a lawyer would actually deliver. So that is what the kind of examples data analytics would do for you. There's also, of course, there's a lot of noise about fintech. And I keep saying it's all noise. Because what is fintech? Fintech is automating a financial product. It's nothing more than that. So do not be deceived by this noise about the fintechs and what is happening. But there are some skills you have to have in and around financial services. Because if I can tell you, when I was in my own Unilag days, I don't know if you can remember, when there's a place called data center, I did my first degree with what you call punch cards. I can almost swear that there's nobody in this room that used punch cards to process any kind of technology. Today you have computers in front of you. Those days we were using what we call mainframes. So for a set of instruction to add 2 plus 2, you have to generate about probably 50 punch cards. And you load it on the card reader, which interprets it, then sends it to the processor. The processor would read it. If there is one hole on the punch card that is not correct, it sends back the whole thing. So that was the torture I went through in getting a first degree in computer science. I wonder what they go through nowadays. But when you talk about fintech, fintech is about using technology to drive financial services. So it's about understanding first what is value to the end user. So if you understand financial services, and you understand how to use technology and you apply it well, you'll be able to succeed. The other thing they talk about is AI, artificial intelligence. It's become so relevant now. I did a course, even in my first degree, on artificial intelligence and robotics, and this was over 30 years ago. So it's been there, but now they are bringing artificial intelligence to life, to living, to survival. So they call it Internet of Things. You walk into your house, once you put your fingerprint on your door, it knows when to regulate the AC, how to regulate your fridge, what items you are lacking. It's already sending you reminders. So artificial intelligence, the understanding of artificial intelligence gives you a big competitive advantage over and above what generally an average person would have. Now, I'm saying these 3 skills you need to acquire as a layer on whatever degree you have, because the degree remains. CFA is too nice to call a bloody piece of paper, but a lot of the degrees they collect nowadays is a bloody piece of paper. But it's how you apply it to what you're doing that determines a lot of things. There's also this talk about sustainability, and they call it, I think, ESG. There's a lot of institutions, organizations that are focusing on this now. It's a skill you need to have. You need to understand all those things, because one way or the other, whatever profession you find yourself in, you would have it should have some bearing on you as a person and even what you want to do. I don't know if that addresses.
Yeah, it does. Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. There's a lot to really unpack from what you have said, but I think the most important thing you said now is the fact that irrespective of your degree, make sure that you are the continuous learning. We've talked about continuous learning. Make sure you're improving yourself and developing your skill sets, in addition to the degrees that you've gotten. And you talked about data science, you talked about fintech, you talked about AI, and also ESG. And the good thing about that is that the CFA Institute has a lot of, certificates around this area beyond the CFA program. So thank you very much, Shegun, for sharing that. Chidi, I will go over to you, quickly. I think our time is almost up. But looking at your background and looking at your role in InfraCredit, 10 years ago, there was nothing like InfraCredit. Today, we have an innovative company like InfraCredit. And the beauty about that is you occupy a very strategic role in that organization. And when I ask myself, a lot of the things that you do, you couldn't have even learned from the traditional banks, or even if you grew up or your career has been around risk, even in a traditional firm, you probably wouldn't have learned, or taking some of those skills from that. He has talked about skills. He's talked about building your skill. What I want to ask you now for infra credits, or looking at innovative companies that will come up in the future, what are those things that young professionals need to pay attention to get even hired into such companies?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, go on.
Yes. So, I think Shegun alluded to some things. One of which is that if you unpack everything, because I usually try to, if I'm analyzing something, I usually try to go back to first principles. If you remove all the niceties around it, if you pick my role, for instance, what am I really doing? I'm taking credit risk. That's the fundamental thing I'm doing, which is what you do when you lend your friend money. Anyway, so first of all, you have to be able to go back to first principles and understand what it is that you're doing, so you know what you need to know. In terms of background, I'm not a finance. I don't have a finance background. I read biochemistry as a first degree, and personally, for finance, I find that engineers make the best finance guys because they're able to think outside the box. That's my own view. So, and what I'm driving at is that if you look at my thought process, you find that I'm not speaking about the certificate. There's a skill that comes from. The reason I said engineers make the best is because the way engineering is you're allowed to sort of be innovative, think outside the box, and make assumptions and try out stuff. So at the core, you have to know what the skill is. And once you understand what the skill is, then you have to invest in acquiring the skill. And this investment has to be made personally. It's not going to be handed over to you. So you literally have to go around looking for this knowledge, and if you have, they say luck is when opportunity meets preparedness. If you have the knowledge and you're conversant with it, one day somebody's going to say something and you're going to be able to answer, and then you make an impression. Yeah. So you have to be just acquiring this knowledge. If you decide that, look, I want to be the best operations guy or trade guy, then you have to know about trade. You have to invest in knowing about trade. You have to read about them. So if you want to know if it's risk, you have to invest in risk. If you ask me this question outside here, I'll probably say get a CFA. Really, that's what I'll say. But in addition to that, at the core of the CFA is something. There's a lot. There's finance, there's ethics. So you have to know these things and you have to invest in this. And over and above all this, at the core, when you're dealing with money, is trust. Yeah. So you have to build trust. And building trust is not just being honest. You have to be unambiguous with your statements. You can't say something and have people interpreting it as something else, because that's how you make mistakes. Oh, but you said this, I didn't mean this. So and that means that before you do anything or say anything, you have to think about it. You have to plan and execute. So and that comes with practice. Most times I find that as long as you invest time in learning, in planning, you will not make off-the-cuff mistakes. You make off-the-cuff mistakes when you get overconfident. I'm not overconfident. I'm always scared of tasks that are given to me, and that puts me on the edge to prepare and execute. Even for this event, I spent time sort of thinking about what I wanted to say. You have to invest time in what you want to know and get so good at it. Back to my first point, that get so good at it that you become the focal point for that topic. So that's my take.
Thank you very much for that. I picked on trust, which is very critical even for your role as a chief risk officer. And also trust is one of the hallmark for an investment professional. You cannot tell somebody, I will deliver an instrument tomorrow, and tomorrow the person is looking for you. So trust is very, very fundamental in investment professional. So thank you really for highlighting that. Let me quickly move on to Tommy. As the head of one of the most innovative exchange in Africa, or I would say also in the world, as a young professional, one of the questions I'll be asking myself is, who helped you along this journey? I remember when you talked about your story, somebody referred you, just sit down with this boss, sit down with my former boss and just listen to him. So my question really today is, we all know that mentorship is critical, sponsorship is good, people are looking for sponsors. So what role has mentorship and sponsorship play in you getting and rising up the career to get to where you are today?
Thank you. So I think it was probably also mentioned in some of the conversations we've been having, or some of what the speakers have been saying. I think mentorship is quite important. And there are various forms of mentorship, right? What happens with having a mentor is you have someone who is egging you on, someone who is encouraging you, someone who is listening to you and sort of trying to guide you along, the path you've chosen. Someone who will give you constructive criticism. Someone who's going to be honest with you and just let you know where maybe you're faltering, if you're faltering, or again, like I said, egg you on when you're going along the right paths. It's someone also you can bounce your ideas off of, and what I'll find with mentors is they don't necessarily tell you what to do, but, guide you. And because ultimately you have to make your decisions in life and take responsibility for whatever outcomes they have, outcomes you experience. So for me, it's the way maybe I would say I've taken mentorship. You find different people, or someone, or a couple of people that you think, okay, you know what? I like the way their journey has panned out. This is someone that will be completely honest with me, tell me even the things I do not want to hear. And as a mentee, you need to be ready to accept and listen, and take the feedback and work on feedback, because again, ultimately is what you want to achieve for yourself. So that's kind of what I found. Even the people who have been the most successful in this world, they have mentors, right? People that they look up to, people who have guided them along the way. And another thing that I've just sort of recently found out is mentoring or mentorship is not necessarily only about someone who is senior to you or someone who is older than you or someone who is sort of necessarily gone the path. Well, no, I would take that differently. But someone who is senior or older to you, you can have what is called reverse mentorship with someone who is even younger than you, someone who is junior to you, especially with the way the world is now. I mean, with the Gen Zs and all sorts of crazy things happening and the way the world is being disrupted in a positive way. I think it also makes sense to have even someone who you can have a sort of reverse mentorship kind of relationship with. I think a key thing also, and I think it's also been said, is you really need to be humble. What I have seen, is the people who are the most successful are actually quite humble in themselves, and particularly those who maybe have been my bosses. I've noticed that because you're up there, that's probably even when you need to be more humble, right? Because you can't do things on your own. You're not where you are by virtue of only your abilities. You have to work with people. You have to be able to give of yourself and even accept of people as well. So,
thank you so much for that. So I noted here, to be mentored, you have to be humble. And that's the truth. You have to be humble because you're basically seeking guidance. You're learning from somebody. How do you learn from somebody when you are your shoulder is high, you probably will not get anything. And also the need for you to have something to give. Sometimes we think that, I have nothing to give. This person is already up there. What do I have to give? But the truth is, if you find something that you can give, it's easier for you to get that person to mentor you. So thank you very much. Because of time, we will take our parting words. And the parting words will be, what will you tell your younger self if you are starting your career all over again? So that's what I want to be the parting words. What will you tell your younger self? Because trust me, in this room, your younger selves are all sitting around. So what will you tell your younger selves if you were to start your career all over again? So I'll start with you, Chidi.
Thank you again. So what I would tell my younger self, never procrastinate. I think that has killed me. There's so many things I wish I'd done as a younger person. So if I had a chance to go back, I will make sure that I don't procrastinate. Never procrastinate. Whatever you need to do start. I mean, there's this saying that the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is now. Whatever you need to do, start. Never procrastinate. That has been my personal weakness.
Thank you very much. Never procrastinate. Please make sure you note that, though. Never procrastinate. Don't push to tomorrow what you can do today. Thank you very much for that, Tommy.
So what I'll tell my younger self, and I think it's something I'm still telling my older self now, is be patient. It might seem like you need to have this now, or you think that, if you don't get it now, it's the end of the world. Be patient, because whilst 5 years or 10 years may seem like a long time, you will still get there, and you'll be able to look back on your journey and see that, you've been done right by. Just be patient, believe in yourself, and know always that God has got your back.
Thank you very, very much for that. Earlier, I think it was yesterday, we were taught to build a career or think of your career in the long term. This generation, we want it instant. We want to be CEO before we are 30. You don't want to go through the experience. You want to be head of an exchange before you are 25. Be patient. Thank you so much for that. And Shegun.
My final word would be to advise you to take calculated risks. There's no success without risk.
Yeah.
So if you don't take those risks, you end up working for those who have taken the risk. But I qualify it. I say calculated risks. And when you are taking calculated risks, risk itself is an art. Calculation is science. So your ability to combine science with art is what will determine your success. So the same thing I say, it is not your qualification that will determine your success. It's the skill and the value you derive from that, the application of that knowledge that you have acquired into what you're doing. So always be open to take calculated risks.
Thank you so much. How many of us have learned something from the panelists today? Let me see your notes. Take risk. Let me see your notes. 20 pages. Any 20 pages. Sincerely, I learned a lot. I learned a lot from this panel. And the simple truth is success is predictable. And you can see that there is some similarity across the panels from their career journey. Take risk, be patient, don't procrastinate, be intentional, be knowledgeable, acquire the skills. Success is predictable. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much. Please, can we give a round of applause to these excellent panelists? Absolutely done justice to the topic this afternoon. Really learned a lot from each person's story. Thank you so much. Thank you. Absolutely brilliant. Really wonderful hearing their story and just being able to learn from them. And can you help me tell the person to your left and your right hand side one thing you learned from this panel? One thing. Do you know when, I think it was the first speaker, or the first panelist, who was asked the question, what would you tell your younger self? Mr. Chidi. And he mentioned procrastination. I could hear the heave of sigh in the hall, because almost everyone here could identify. Whatever you want to do, do it now. No need to procrastinate. Have you told the person? So tell me, what's one thing? Can someone just say it out loud? Let me hear. What's one thing you learned? Okay, I heard you. Okay, fantastic. Excellent. Please give them a round of applause one more time. And excellently moderated by Odiri Ogini, CFA. That was fantastic. At every point, you could not but follow and write notes. Because at every point, she was asking, did you hear? And then doing on-the-spot tests for you. Thank you so much. We have one more speaker before we head out to our career fair for today, which is a very key part of what we're going to be doing today. And this person I'll be inviting to speak for the next few minutes on his career journey was in your position just a few years ago. Now, the speakers, the last panelists had mentioned that their younger selves were in this hall. But for this person, this was a matter of 3-4 years. And so we believe that his story would really inspire and motivate you for your next level. He is a fixed income trader at Cross Partners Limited, a dynamic professional with a passion for finance. After graduating from the prestigious University of Lagos in 2019, so he graduated in 2019 with a degree in economics, he embarked on a successful career as a fixed income trader. His dedication to excellence is evident through his active participation in the CFA challenge. So he was also in your shoes a few years ago. Now, he emerged as the winner of the CFA Nigeria Essex Challenge in 2018 with his team from the University of Lagos. Will Unilag replicate that today again? The following year, he secured another victory, earning the Best Speaker title in the CFA Research Challenge 2019, and his team winning the challenge. This accomplishment not only highlighted his mastery of financial analysis, but also showcased his ability to articulate complex ideas with clarity and persuasiveness. Unrelenting, in 2022, he further participated in the CFA Industry Practitioner Essex Challenge, a testament to his ongoing commitment to professional development and upholding ethical standards in the finance profession. His dedication to service and community engagement has not gone unnoticed, as he was honored with the Presidential Award for Volunteer of the Year in 2022. His notable contributions include volunteering with the University Outreach Team at CFA Nigeria, where he played a pivotal role in founding investment clubs across the country, fostering financial education and investment awareness. Currently on a journey to enhance his professional qualifications, he's diligently pursuing his CFA exams, showcasing his commitment to continuous learning and professional growth. Outside of his professional pursuits, he's an avid traveler and tennis enthusiast, showcasing a well-rounded personality that extends beyond the world of finance. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to receive your next speaker? Please let's make welcome Sheyi Akindutire. A round of applause, please. Multiple-time winner of the CFA Challenge, Essex. We just applaud you. And he'll be speaking just for the next few minutes, but he'll have enough time to also take a few questions because, I mean, I'm sure he can relate with you and all that, you're possibly going through at the moment.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. I'm speaking to Gen Zs. You guys should, engage me. Good morning, everybody. Oh, good afternoon already. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Shay, as rightly introduced, and I'm very excited today to be here to speak about my career journey. Now, I don't want to sound very scripted or something. I mean, that was yesterday. There were so many panelists, so many conversations about economics, about finance, about career. And even today, I think I'm the biggest beneficiary of all of the conversations that have been spoken here today. And I want us to give a round of applause for CFA Nigeria for this opportunity. Just fun fact, I was in the same shoes 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Yeah, 2018, December 5th, 2018, where CFA had the same conference, and the theme was Let's Measure Up. And they invited Kala Harris to speak, and I was seated somewhere right there. And it's the same kind of engagement, same kind of passion about finance, about career, about impacting young people and students. And it's a privilege standing here today, just a little bit on the side, but again, I'm still the biggest beneficiary of CFA's programs and initiatives, and I want to really appreciate the leadership for this opportunity to talk about my experience and career journey. So far, so good. I'm a regular guy, nothing special, nothing spectacular. My people in University of Lagos, they know me very well. There is nothing special. But again, after these whole conversations about if you're standing, be outstanding. If you're outstanding, set the standard. I think I want to take it up a notch going forward from now. So my career started pretty much at the University of Lagos, first year, with so much drive and ambition to be the best I can be. Although from the very start, I knew what I wanted to become. I wanted to become a trader. I just knew. I had friends, I had families, I had relatives that were in the financial industry, and I saw the kind of life they lived, the kind of cars they drove. I wanted to be like that. I wanted to have money. And I'm still in that journey, right? So I wanted to be a trader, got into the University of Lagos, first year, and I had very bright minds, great friends who today are doing amazing. They're investment bankers across the world and even traders. So we came together first year to found the Investment Society. We founded the Investment Society, Unilag, my first year. So let me just tell you, I don't want to speak too much English. Let me just tell you the nitty-gritty things we did. We were just coming together to read Business Day newspaper, basically, in the morning, 6 a.m. Come together, meet under a basement, read Business Day newspaper, analyze the news, analyze the various... we wanted to make sense of what inflation was, what interest rates was, what all of these things were, and somewhat bridge the gap between theory and practice. Our teachers would teach us inflation, did even know, sorry, apologies. But my point is, we wanted to just make exact sense of what they were teaching us in school. So we wanted to bring the corporates to the classroom. So we came together, started reading business newspaper, inviting the likes of Mr. Banji Faitola, likes of Mrs. Bukun, and a couple of other industry leaders to come teach us about the corporate world, to come tell us what it is about where I am today, about the financial sector. And trust me, it was an experience, a whole lot of experience. I can relate so much to me. In school, Unilag, if you are in school, if I was a very balanced student, I was the type that would go to class Mondays, Saturdays, I'm at the club. I would go to class Mondays to Fridays. Fridays, go for events like this, conferences, network, meet people. Saturdays, we were partying. All of my friends, I will say one or two things here that would help you in 2-3 years from now. Network, the power of network is very, very important. So I understood what network was at a very young age in school, or young period in school, and I leveraged extensively on it. I was not the brightest, but there was a saying here today that hard work trumps talent. I remember preparing for the CFA research, and my colleagues and I, we would lodge in a room and read all night and ensure that we were so deep into the research that people saw it. It was evident in our faces. It was evident in our faces, and we focused entirely on becoming the best. We put in so much work, and at the end of the day, we would, after the work, we would ensure that we had a balanced life, try to, focus on just balancing everything pretty much. What am I trying to emphasize? Hard work really trumps talent. I may not be the best, but I would apply myself. And I applied myself for ethics in my second year. I applied myself for research in my third year. And till now, I'm still applying myself. So I'm still in this same journey with you. I'm not a special person. I'm not a CEO. I'm not a managing director. I'm still on this same journey with you, trying to make things very relatable to you, so that in next 2-3 years, one of you would also stand here to speak about your journey. All right, so the entire university, my entire university was a balanced experience, from the classroom to the corporate world. I did various internships through the Power of Network, and CFA has been and still a very instrumental to impacting students. I'm lucky to be one of the biggest beneficiaries of it. Impacting students at the granular level, in your various clubs, in research, in ethics challenges. These programs or these challenges drive you, and they help you gain meaningful employment. I mean, some of you might not be opportune to engage in the research, in these challenges, but you being here today, you being seated here today, is step one. You would meet one or two people. I mean, very exciting to see the gentleman and the gentle lady coming to talk and ask questions. And right here, Mr. Ebenezer, recognized them. These are the opportunities you have. Take them. You may not have bigger opportunities like this. You may not have the kind of opportunities I have. Take them, utilize them. And so my story is not far-fetched. It's nothing out of the ordinary. I took in these opportunities. I applied myself. I had strong personal belief in myself. I didn't know I was going to be the best in all of these things I was doing. All I was just doing is, okay, Sheyi, you're going to study this thing in and out. I went over and beyond, calling colleagues, calling industry leaders, my friends. I need to know this, I need to know that. And one speaker said something, and it's very important. I've met a lot of young people that think that they've done 4 or 5 internships and they think they've arrived. You need to humble yourself. Be calm and listen and pay attention to details. In my first year working, the most important thing that I was told to do is, if I tell you to do this, do it. Put a full stop. I don't need you to think. I need you to, first of all, pay attention to details. So it's not, sometimes you really know about what you know. It's about doing the little things, dotting your I's, crossing your T's, and putting full stops where you need to put full stop. And as you grow in your career, things begin to make sense, and you would be in the right position in the course of your career. My point is, they've said so much. I've written 2, 3, 20 pages in my part year. And again, I'm also a beneficiary of this, and I need you to apply yourselves. So the only word I've been hearing, apply yourself, apply yourself, apply yourself, right? And I did that from the very first day at the university. And you need to, people say that Lagos, University of Lagos, they are positioned in a very critical area. Their location favors them. Yeah, but I mean, I've met outstanding, even more brilliant students in Nsukka. One of my colleagues today, she went to UNN, and we competed in the same competition, and she's my very good friend. Same with Covenant University. You don't need to be in Lagos. You can be anywhere in the world to have an impact, not just in your life, in your community, in people, and with people, with people around you. So that's what I do every step of the way. And I don't just see myself as, after this, I'll relax. I'm on to the next thing. Okay, what next can I do for CFA? What next can I do for my career? I'm writing my CFA exams at the moment. Once I'm done, what's the next thing? Right? So all of these things, they've spoken extensively. I don't want to come here and repeat the same thing, right? I just need us as young people continue to push, continue to grind. If you don't, my guy, you'll be stagnant, man. You'll be stagnant. So continue to apply. You would ask yourself, how do I go about it? How can I be where you are today? See, it's not far. It's ordinary. Just do what you're supposed to do. Simple. I mean, I don't know if there is any special code or special crack to become a CEO. No. It is these people pushing and going the extra mile. Simple things. It's not jazz. Right? So, I'm not here to tell you the special code for becoming great or having a successful career. I'm just here to, again, repeat the same thing, right? And I was in the same shoes 4 or 5 years ago. The old winner of CFA Research Challenge, CFA Ethics Challenge, yeah, good, it's great. I mean, I'm excited about it, but is that the end? No, that's not the end. There's so much more to be done. And I want my fellow, I mean, I'm like you, I'm a student. Forget this suit. I should have removed my suit earlier. It's nothing. I should have worn a t-shirt to come here. I don't know why I went all out like this. So, but beyond the suits, beyond the ties, beyond the English, beyond the conversations, you need to go back. All of the things you've written in your notes today, they are very, very important. I must have heard these things times and times again, but they still remain relevant today, and they'll continue to remain relevant till tomorrow. So I'm not saying too much, and I think I've been able to, in a very little way, inspire you, and hopefully we get to set up more investment clubs and equip the existing ones across these universities, and so that you are more competitive. We want to come to research challenge, we want to come to ethics challenge and see so much fire, see so much brand. I'm very excited about University of Ilorin for winning this research challenge. It's a very big deal because for good 5-6 years, University of Lagos has been winning, right? But this time we're seeing intense competition. We're seeing this is a competition I crave, this is a competition I look forward to, and hopefully we get it at the end of the day. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Sheyi. Please, before you go, a round of applause, please. We'd like to ask you, people have questions. We did mention that we'd like to take some questions from the audience. Yeah, I know maybe we'll just take about 3 questions or 4. 2 gentlemen, 2 ladies. So, okay, so I have 1, 2. So 1 lady here, 1 gentleman. And let me go to the back. Lady, is that a gentleman there? Yeah? All right, great. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tracy Meto from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. I'm one of the participants in the upcoming research challenge. So my question is about circumstantial building. Mr. Shegun Ade, I forgot, Mr. Shegun, the previous speaker, he mentioned something about circumstantial building, and I want to relate it to you. So circumstantial building is about taking opportunities in the environment you're in, right? And that's one thing I'm really hammering on and I'm sticking to. But I want to ask you, how do you manage a phase of disclarity? So you know you've taken an opportunity, for instance, in this research challenge, but you are not sure if this is something you want to do long term, but you don't want to miss out on the opportunity. So how do you manage a phase of disclarity? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Phase of disclarity. A phase of disclarity, if that's what you mean, right? In situations like that, you want to use the opportunity to achieve other goals. So you can be here doing CFA research, right? But your purpose is not to win. It might be to meet an individual, right? You can be studying for CFA research, The purpose may not be to win the research, but the consistency, the perseverance in preparing for that research is a skill. You can apply it to something else. So yes, CFA research is it would help you in your career, in your finance career journey. But that may not, if finance is not your thing, if you don't want to be a finance person, right? The skills you've learned, the people you've met might be critical or pivotal to helping you navigate to where you might see clarity. I've worked with different people. One of the interns in my office, she studied mass communication, and she never liked finance. But I told her that instead of being disgruntled, you can apply the few things you've learned here into media. In your free time, whenever you get a job, the little things, attention to details, all of these things help. The skills is the most important thing, right? Then over time, the skills learned can be applied to help you gain clarity into what you want to become. And I mean, speak to people, have conversations with people. The social media is there for you. Use these things effectively, and I think in the long term or in the long run, things will be clearer for you. So again, the most important thing is the skills acquired in all of these things, the networking, the conversations you have, maybe not the technical part of it, which you don't really like, right? Am I correct? Somewhat. Okay, maybe we'll have a conversation after. Okay.
All right, so the great thing is that Sheyi has said he's still around, so if people want to connect with him, no, we have 3 more questions. So the next person, please.
Sorry. Thank you. My question is a bit more technical. My name is Ifechukwu Munachisu. I'm a student of the University of Nigeria and also a participant in the research challenge. So here, my question goes like this. Now, we're at an African investment conference, right? And we'll most likely invest in the African markets, if at least as starters, particularly the Nigerian market. So, I mean, our careers depend on the market, yeah? And I mean, I feel like at this point in time, literally all we have been told is, I mean, the opportunities in the market and how fintech is revolutionizing everything. I feel like we are like at this apex part of the business cycle. So now, what happens to our careers since we are like the future when the sky starts falling, when, I mean, the bust happens and everybody starts losing their heads?
All right.
This
Some
question is very heavy. It's so heavy for me.
Thank you.
But, okay, so you said that you are the peak of how did you even put it? I mean, peak of career. Say it again.
Okay.
Just be brief. Just say it quickly.
Okay, at the peak of the business cycle.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, and the business cycle is like when like there is optimism and economic activities are increasing. I mean, stock performance recently, I mean, they have been showing like good gains. So what happens when the optimism is gone, when we stop seeing fintech as like the star, when everybody starts looking at Nigeria?
Another industry will emerge.
So one over, okay, all right.
Another industry will
all right.
emerge. Another career will emerge. Things will come up, definitely. I mean, AI has been the CEO of Page Financials said he studied AI and robotics 30 years ago until now it came to life. I'm pretty sure that we might be at the peak of a business cycle, but in that peak, something is coming up, something is springing up, and you need to prepare yourself. The head of risk, InfraCredit, also said that, was he the one that said, he talked about data, you know, applying yourself to, you can study data or data analytics, data analysis. These things will help to bring up a new sector or bring up a new career stream. So, it cannot just be the end of something. Something will come out of the end of something. Yeah.
All right, thank you. He'd like to contribute to that, to respond to that question.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ajewole Oluwashola. I work for Central Bank of Nigeria. I'm also a CFA chartered holder. I want to add little to the question that my friend just asked now. And if you have been here since yesterday, you can even answer that question by yourself. And today also, the panelists told us that we should make what we call calculated risk. Calculated risk. Well, we don't know what is going to happen tomorrow, but we do forecast. And that is why we are told that we should also dive into the issue of data, analytics. Because when you look at what has happened yesterday, it can help you live today and also project tomorrow. One thing I want you to know is that you don't need to be pessimistic. Try to be optimistic. When we say apply yourself, it's not in a vacuum. You apply yourself based on the current reality, and then in order to prepare yourself for tomorrow. You don't prepare tomorrow for yourself, rather you prepare yourself for tomorrow. So that if they say no one is indispensable, you can create a niche for yourself to make it difficult for your employer to find it difficult to replace you. And that is what we have been preaching here, and that is what we have been discussing here. So that is why when you are leaving your school, they call you what is your discipline. The discipline there is to actually bring out some quality within you so that I can prepare you for future. And when you graduate, on your graduation day, convocation day, they will say this set of people, they have been found worthy in learning and in character. Certificate is good if you pass through the school and you allow the school to pass through you. Certificate will be bad if one of those two legs is missing. So what is important is that take calculated risk, be focused and know what you want to achieve, and as the economy is changing, then try to adapt. We have been told today that we should look into 3 areas: data analytics, fintech or IA or robotics, then sustainability. These are things that we need in the future. So if you adjust yourself and you are dynamic to the system, there's no time that you will not be worthy to be used. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. 2 more questions, one from there and one at the back. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, my name is Ilka Timothy. I'm from Federal University of Technology, Owerri. Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Shea. Okay, my question is, if you've observed Nigeria, you find out that we have many retail traders, maybe trading currency pairs, cryptos, and the rest. So my question is, what would you advise a young aspiring trader like me who wants to do that part of being a professional trader like you? What would you advise him to do? Thank you. I also would like Mrs. Tumi to make her addition to this, because I prepared this question waiting for that session to ask her.
Sorry, she's not around. She's left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, one
you.
question to him is fine. Thank you.
Okay. So first, I would say be passionate about whatever you're doing, right? In whatever you are doing, whether it's fashion designing, trading, investment banking, be passionate. First things first. Sometimes they'll tell you passion doesn't bring money, passion doesn't bring this, Yeah, but for me, passion is very important. It is very important in whatever you're doing. So I've always wanted to be a trader. I never wanted to be an investment banker or a consultant. And I'm happy to do what I'm doing because I'm passionate about it. That's one. 2, more technically, play with numbers. Be a numbers person. Speak in numbers. Appreciate numbers. These things help because at the office I speak in numbers. We speak a lot in numbers. We talk numbers, and it's just numbers all day. So that's for the kind of trading I'm doing, fixed income trading. I want to believe you're talking a little bit about FX trading. Yes, because the kind of questions I get about trading is about FX. Well, I don't like to talk about FX trading. It's risky, but like they said, take calculated risk. So you can want to, read more. Apply yourself, continue to read. See, you would make mistakes, you would fail, in these things. You would I remember one time I almost cost my company, I cost them a lot of millions, when I started my job. But I didn't get sacked, but I was able to learn from it, and now I'm way much better, right, at trading. So continue to, it's the basic things. Read, study, understudy other people, have a mentor, have friends that can guide you, have conversations. Don't just say you want to be, you do the right, I don't know. There's no extra code or extra crack to these things, okay, I think I've said one thing, be familiar with numbers. It will help you a lot. It will help you a lot. Be familiar with technicalities of what you're trading, whether fundamental or technical analysis, Yeah, that's it. And read books.
All right, thank you very much. Final question.
All right, good afternoon, and thank you very much for your talk. My name is Ayodiji, and I'm a final year student of the University of Lagos. And I really have a question about learning opportunities. So really, what I want to know is, what traits do you think distinguish a successful learning opportunity for something that becomes, say, a sunk cost? So by sunk cost, I mean something that you just put time and effort and energy into, but you don't get anything out of it. It just becomes a well of energy and time wasting. So what traits really distinguish something that is going to be useful in the future for something that will be a sunk cost? Thank you very much.
That's a very great question, very fantastic question, because a lot of people, you're hearing the word apply yourself, apply yourself, apply yourself, and you continue to apply yourself, and you're not seeing the outputs, you're not seeing the results of these things. So what would, I think, separate you from or make you avoid the sunk costs is network, pretty much, networking, right? You apologies, but they say it's the B students that get to lead organizations, right? And it's not even the A students who too can lead organizations, but what separates people is the people around them, the network they've built over the years, the friendships they've built over the years. So it's not just being in your room or the library, reading, studying. Go out, meet people. This is an opportunity and an avenue for you to meet industry leaders. For 2 days, you should have met nothing less than 40, 50 people. Yes, when I was in this auditorium, I made sure I collected cards. And at the end of each conference, I don't call, I send an email or send a LinkedIn invite. So you don't want to be in their face and annoy them. So network is literally an open door. Where I'm working today, it was network that got me there. Aside the fact that I'm brilliant, it's network that brought me there. I'm pretty sure it's networking that will take me to my next position or to my next company. Yes, I would apply, but I need to say this too. At the conference 2018, right here, where Kalari spoke about the importance of having a sponsor. And I'm very happy today that even the CFA leadership, most of them are my sponsors, right? They will call me from time to time, asking about my welfare, about my career, having someone that can, and there was nothing special. I don't have a father or uncle that is the CEO or executive or ED of somewhere. But because I was able to, let me say this, add value to the people I speak to. So when I have, fireside chats or go to their offices to have a conversation, I'm going there with something, not just to ask for sponsorship or to ask for come and help us or come and mentor me. No. It's a mutual exchange. It's a mutual relationship. So in whatever approach you're taking, and I don't want to divert from your point, in your goals, in whatever you're trying to achieve, it's not just one straight line. Be more collaborative. Talk to people. See, just yesterday when I came in the evening, I made a contact the kind of transaction I would get from that contact is enormous. If I didn't come yesterday to network and meet that people, I'm talking about trading, not deals. The kind of contact is big. If I didn't come here to meet people, to network, I probably would not, have the opportunity, right? So you're in this auditorium today. Take strong advantage of this opportunity. In your reading, in your studying, in your learning, meet people, have conversations, share. Don't be a burden. There is that thin line between trying to meet someone and trying to be a burden, right? So understand that line. Know when to retrace. Know when to retreat. Know when to forge ahead. Know when to keep quiet. These things are soft skills that not many people have, right? And as a young professional, as a student, I know we are filled and burst with energy, right? Sometimes you need to tame this energy. Sometimes you need to explore, and exploit this energy. You know what you're doing, apply wisdom. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please give Shay a round of applause. Akindutire, one more time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you've learned or picked a number of things from his presentation. How was it? Fantastic, excellent, brilliant, impactful, relatable. Thank you so very much. And on that note, it's a fine time at this point to mention that we'll be going on a tea break. Now, the tea break will come after. Immediately after the tea break, we'll go straight into the career fair in the exhibition area. Please don't forget that the career fair, you have potential employers who will tell you the requirements to working for the organization. Or like I mentioned, you just might be able to sell yourself enough to get an employment letter or an offer letter on the spot. Again, like Sheyi mentioned, don't forget to network. Beyond the employers and the booths you're going to visit, don't forget the person sitting beside you might just be the one who's going to give the word for you. All the organizations I've worked with, it's usually a word from a friend, a colleague, a university mate that made the difference. So please don't despise that. And then finally, I'd like to really thank our sponsors, without whom the conference wouldn't have been perhaps this successful or even possible. So please, when I mention their names, can you help me celebrate them with a loud round of applause? We want to thank very much Africa Finance Corporation, Zenith Bank PLC, EcoBank Nigeria, EcoBank Transnational Incorporated, First Bank of Nigeria, Leadway Assurance, Meristem Securities Limited, D. Brown Consulting, Cowrywise, Geregu Power PLC, Cordros Capital, Access Bank PLC, Chapel Hill Denham, ICO Capital Limited, Nigerian Deposit Insurance Company, Coral Stone Vale Capital, United Capital Asset Management, ACCA. We'd also like to thank other exhibitors like MTN Nigeria, Mango Asset Management. Thank you all so very much for being a part of the CFA Institute Africa Investment Conference for 2023, hosted here in Nigeria by CFA Society Nigeria in collaboration with CFA Society in East Africa, CFA Society in Kenya, East Africa, in South Africa, CFA Society in Ghana, CFA Society in Mauritius. Can we celebrate all the societies who've come together to collaborate? And also to thank all those who are watching online. Can we give a little wave to our online participants? Thank you for being such a key part of this conference. Apologies for not taking questions online. We're hopeful that in subsequent events, we'll certainly give an opportunity to have questions online. On that note, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, don't forget this is a critical part of the conference. Please help yourselves to some tea, coffee, and light refreshments, and also visit the booths. Visit the different stalls, visit the career professionals, talk to them, engage them, and very importantly, talk to one another, engage, exchange numbers, and we'll see you at the next CFA Institute Africa Investment Conference. Thank you very much. My name is Ayomaira Ese. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I please get your attention for a few minutes? This information is particularly for female faculty advisors and female representatives from each of the university. So we need the female faculty advisors and one female representative from each of the universities present. Mark Franklin, the CFA Institute Global President, would like to have lunch with you at 2 p.m. So this is for the female faculty advisors, and each university should send one female representative to meet with Mark Franklin for lunch. Thank you very much. Attention, please. May I please kindly ask that you pay attention to your belongings, your valuables, phone, bags, and anything that you came here with. Kindly ensure that you keep your personal effects with you at all times. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.